Select is upon us, and we'll see exactly what is going to be locked in first. First pick does go to D+ Kia, and HLE will be answering here. Counter pick on this team is very, very scary. So I don't think that, right of first selection and being able to get that first pick is even all that much of a benefit here. And I do have it confirmed, everyone. It was a unanimous Humble Life Esports prediction for this series. You are the only one that predicted D+ against Gen G. So if we are all wrong here today, we're all going to be sweating when we get to that Gen G series that's coming up in a couple of days' time. We aren't going to see the Jace, though. Shiu is going to have to go 0-8 on something else. That did happen in EWC. This is the thing, though. Like, you were talking about how, like, a lot of these players have become more consistent. Shiu has had games like that, but it just hasn't mattered, right? This was a team that went mental boom quite a lot in previous seasons, and I feel like the mental resilience has been the biggest improvement for D+.
Showmaker wants to play Orianna. I don't think he's going to get his chance to, but I think in this draft, if the Orianna is banned, you can go first pick Cassiopeia. You could also potentially go for the Lee Sin first pick because of Lucid's proficiency on the champion. You probably don't want Kanavi to have that. But Kanavi, if you go for the Lee Sin first pick, is okay. We're Orianna's open, so forget everything I was going to say. Nocturne is banned, but they will get the Ori here. I want to see what the response is going to be for Humble Life Esports. I think if you go Lee Sin here and walk into Zeka, Kanavi, Orianna, Jarvan, you're going to really regret your choice, as strong as Lee Sin is right now. Yeah. Let's see, because there's a lot of factors here, because so much is up. The Cassiopeia, another consideration, but we'll also be walking into that.
I think the Orianna has to be picked up. This has been basically permabanned apart from that one game, but Locke was also up in that game, and then that didn't look so good. That was where Scout had a bit of a pop-off yesterday, so not going to see that as a response, but there is a 1-2 punch here that Humble Life Esports can go for, and the Camille is going to start it off.
Maybe just Camille, Jarvan. A lot of engage. I don't think you want to let Lucid play Jarvan with this Orianna. Vi also fine here.
Yeah, you can't also let Lucid play Vi.
Yeah, that's also available. We've got a lot available, including the Cassiopeia, which has not been touched yet. Jarvan or Lee Sin are both great ball carriers, and you don't know what the enemy mid laner is just yet, so it's a matter of preference. And matchup-wise, we consider a third option here in the Xin. I think Jarvan feels the most obvious.
Yeah, it feels the most Orianna-specific, right? Yeah. The Jarvan pickup, just a pretty classic one. The Shen is really good into the Camille, so we're expecting that one to come in. Will they lock down a bottom lane in theory? You could kind of go for something like that. Smash has really liked the Victor more recently, but instead, it will just be a return to the Xin Zhao.
Xin really opens up Smash's pool a little bit here. It looks likely he's going to be playing an AD carry in this draft, but he doesn't necessarily have to, and the Xin can pair well in early skirmishes with anything. Ambessa priority on our best teams at Kespa Cup has been incredibly high. On our Rise Group teams of this tournament so far, it has otherwise kind of fallen by the wayside, but it has been so strong and has been one of the ways to shore up damage if you do have an AP bot lane champion in your pool. Ziggs has got to see a look here. Like, they've got to ban Ziggs. It would be crazy to let Guma have it in this draft with how many times we've seen Hanwha draft just like this with the Ziggs follow-up. And they leave Guma the weak side, and then he does the big boom boom later.
Yeah, I'm expecting that one has to be banned away. There it is. So that'll be the first one. Do they put another ban into one of these bot lane mages, or at least one of these flexible mages? Something that can do decently well into the Orianna, I assume, is what they're going to look to take away. Maybe a Victor ban to come next.
This could be. I think this is probably a Vayne ban. Oh, Gnar also acceptable. We've talked about how this matchup is very volatile a lot recently in Kespa Cup, because it's been played so many times there. Yeah. Gnar versus Ambessa, that is. Victor makes sense. I don't think they're going to try to pivot this draft into like a Kai'Sa draft for Gumayusi or anything like that.
Although, like, theoretically it would work. It just doesn't feel like something Guma would play.
I don't think he necessarily wants to play Syndra in this either. So, tough call. Jhin also works, as he's a great Jhin player. But the Victor is what they opt for, which is expected. He may just go down the Jhin route and say, look, I've got an insane front line. Cassiopeia Jhin here to round it all out. You get the information about what's in the bottom lane first here for D+ Kia.
All right, what is Smash going to be playing? That is going to be the question here. And what is Shiu's answer to the Ambessa? I guess one of the options. This is an interesting time where the Vayne wasn't actually banned away.
He could opt for it. It's a statement of confidence by Hanwha Life Esports for sure that they banned the Gnar instead. Ezreal here for Smash was the pick he True Shot barraged his way to the finals with in that first game against Gen G.
Man, that was such a
It's been a favorite of his.
Barrage. My goodness.
It's been a favorite of his. It is the most commonly picked AD carry in this meta. That is, of course, traditional AD carry.
Yep.
See what that final pick is going to be here into this Ambessa. Vayne, I think not necessary here. They could just try to front to back. We'll see what they want to do. Could be a Cassante. The Olaf.
Olaf is a fun angle. That's what they're looking for into the Ambessa. So you don't necessarily have the same level of mobility. You were released about 10 years earlier, but I think we'll still be able to throw some axes around this lane. And if you find your all-in window, you can make things very, very difficult for Hanwha Life Esports. You can also just chain deaths until it's the end of the game. So we'll see what Shiu is going to be able to get done here on the Viking. And one more pickup. What is Guma playing?
He played Xerath in Kespa Cup.
He did.
And it looks like he's going to do it again.
No! Okay, it doesn't actually happen. The Aurora is going to be locked in.
He's playing Cassiopeia, I think.
All right.
It's the Aurora into Orianna that we've seen a few times. He's going to pick the Cassiopeia ultimately here into that bottom lane, which actually is very good into Ezreal if you consider how that all works out. And they have a lot of damage through, but this is not... The thing about Cassiopeia compared to like Syndra or Victor is if the AD carry on the other side is like, oh, I'm gonna keep exchanging blows with you. I'm gonna trade with you. The Cassiopeia is like, well, I'm Proc and Conqueror. If he does opt for it, I will fight with you. I've got a Camille with me. And you can actually go toe-to-toe depending on how the engages go. So a lot more flexibility in the Cassiopeia bot lane. And I feel like it's got to be so much catharsis for you because you have mentioned so many times this can be played bottom lane for like the last month, and it has very rarely recently. But finally, Guma usually says, no, it is still a flex. You're right, Atlas.
It was something that Viper was doing all the time, and unfortunately, he's not in our league anymore. So I guess I have to wait until our players pick it up. Gumayushi is going to be doing it here today. I don't know whether you're necessarily going to have a great time. You get severely outranged by Mystic shots in that bottom lane, but like you were saying, if you ever get to close the gap, the consistent damage out of this Cassio is going to be very, very frightening, and you can guarantee that the gap will be closed by pressing Hextech Ultimatum on someone, and then that is just going to sort it all out completely. So we'll see how it does go here. The Orianna, a coveted pick at the moment, though. It's gone to the Rift, get into the game. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for the first game of our second series of the night. Hanwha Life Esports, fresh MSI champions versus T+ Kia, who just came back picking up the EWC trophy. Both of them finding success, but they haven't met up actually on Summoner's Rift since the HLE the HLE win over T+ Kia in the road to EWC a long time ago. Yeah. See what has changed moving into this one. I like the D+ Kia draft, I'll say that. But I also just feel like HLE are very, very scary as Showmaker's going to flash at level 1.
This is why we see Camille banned usually in the first phase a lot. She's very, very strong. All she needs is one ability to actually ruin everyone's day. As you mentioned, without the support, without any engages, Smash will be able to use his range here with his Mystic shots to continue to annoy Gumayushi. But now that Delight is here, he's going to have to be a little more careful. Looking for the taunt.
Yeah, very nice double taunt to come through from Korea. Utilizes the Aftershock to make things happen. And she is throwing axes around. Zeus is in a little bit of trouble. The last undertow will not land.
He did use his Ghost for this, though, mind you.
I mean, it is Ghost and Teleport, though, in this lane. I don't know whether that's going to deter Shiu here all that much. However, he did absolutely have to win the all-in. If Zeus had to come out on top, it would have been very bad for the Olaf without that ability to sort of cheat a recall.
Yeah, I just don't think he'll be able to do that to Zeus again. So Zeus, with this wave pushing through, should be fine here, unless he makes a mistake. And there is no jungle attention up here, so a little bit of tempo gotten by Shiu, as he will take this back here, but not going to be the end of the world for Zeus. If he got hit by that last undertow, would have been a different story potentially. Very close there.
Yeah.
In the exchange. But showcasing he has a lot of mastery in this matchup, and this niche pick Olaf that is doing incredible. I believe his win rate was like 75%, something like that. First time we've seen this one in a while. Aiming played it into Deft in 2020.
My goodness, when Deft was back on DRX. Crazy times.
Pretty cool tech into the Callista pick in hindsight.
Yeah, also kind of funny that Aiming was on KT back then. He then since, moved around, D+K, all sorts of things, and then found his way back and has now left. So there you go.
Well, he's still there. He's just not playing at the moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no. So hasn't moved to a different org, but is no longer, or isn't playing at the moment.
Yeah, he's taken a little bit of a back seat to Fenrir, who's looking really good, but
yeah,
I know a lot of that has been discussed yesterday, so I'm not going to rehash it all out today. But Kanavi up here with Delight. TP commitment here from Zeka. It's an incredible dive angle onto this Olaf. It does have flash. Let's see how much it gets him.
Yeah, there are 4 people in this lane, Wolf. They're going to make sure that the Olaf is dead. So the reason he doesn't have teleport.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. You could see she was not happy about it. Opts not the flash because he knows he's super dead. And he gets chain CC'd anyways on the initial play. But the reason why they go for this, which is more valuable than the plate that Showmaker grabs here and some of the lost farm, which is he's still ahead on farm, by the way. We'll get some of this wave from Zeka, is that there's no TP. So he's essentially going to be starved after the fact of money. As they're trying to make something happen here bottom side now. D+ on the cross, but won't even really get much out of this either. So Hanwha Life.
Okay, so HLE do have a gold advantage as a result of this, but I actually kind of think that this was fine for D+. Because I think Guma lost an entire wave as well. Zeka definitely lost a cannon and most of a wave in mid lane, and Showmaker picked up a plate. He doesn't have flash though, so maybe this is what they're going to be able to pick up for themselves. The Showmaker Command Protect is pretty powerful, and the last tick of Ignite is not going to be enough as he drinks his potion.
By the way, this is what Guma has been for this roster so often. Is Xiu, no Ghost still.
Yeah.
He is Olaf at low health, so a little bit scary to try to further that. But Guma is just, he lost some farm, right? He's a wave down now. But he just is the one they leave behind. And they're like, okay, I see what you're saying, Atlas. Is it a big enough advantage? They try to push on the Showmaker. If they get that kill, if that Ignite ticks down one more, it's an additional kill. The Camille getting accelerated is a big thing, even in the support role.
Oh dear, Xiu is just dead. Does manage to pick up a shield, and he's going to be fine. Never mind.
They didn't have vision in the river, so I guess they were like, Lucid could be there. I don't know, this could be tricky. Low health, Olaf, a little spooky, but ultimately he's lucky that he gets away here, but he still doesn't have teleport.
Yeah, and he did have a slight CS advantage a little bit earlier on. Now that will belong to Zeus, as he's going to have to run his way back up towards his top side. Lucid could pick up what is, left of this wave before he gets here, but Crystalline Overgrowth going to get eaten here by Zeus, and he'll go for a cheater recall himself. So looking a whole lot better here now for the top laner of HLE.
Smash trying to, with no supports in this lane, the range advantage, try to generate advantage, but this is what I was talking about with Guma. Hard to actually punish him in this 1v1, and he's happy to just farm it out. Yes, he's behind, but this is the position that it's almost like he thrives in it and pops off later on.
Ooh. Okay, Korea just some supportal combat, but that is not going to be real. Shockwave is going to connect as Korea looks for an angle. Delight is just dead though. Lucid grabs the first kill for D+ Kia. And it is a great response here out of D+.
A little bit of a buffer there, a stun to come through that actually forces a second flash to be used by Lucid. So it looked cool for a moment. And did get the second flash, but ultimately still does die here and pushes D+ into a gold lead.
Yeah.
Again, a kill onto a Xin. Still a very even game state here.
The problem for me is that if the Orianna is allowed to just kind of cruise through this early game and become powerful, grab a couple of items, this could get very, very difficult for Hanwha Life Esports. We've seen Auroras never really be able to match the value of an Orianna in the later stages of the game unless they get pretty accelerated.
It's just so simple when you're ahead as Ori to just put a Q down and say, well, you can't be anywhere near this. And now the entire team fight is warped around that fact. Not to mention when you have an Olaf and a Xin that can get into the thick of things, even a Shen. It can be very, very hard to avoid getting hit by that shockwave, even if you're not walking where that ball is on the ground, because it's going to get moved. But yeah, I like how D+ played that. I liked how they were proactive around that moment. We're able to get a small punish there. Guma is the big question mark, right? Because Cassiopeia classically takes a long time to get online. And if this mid game goes well for D+, and that 2-item spike comes through for Smash, they're going to be really online there. If they can grab the first dragon, for example, I think it would do wonders for D+'s chances of sailing through that mid game. We'll see if they can do it, because right now they do have control, but no jungler on the bottom side of the map.
Yep. Zeka taking a bit of damage here from Showmaker, who throws out the combo. And she will be able to make it back towards this top side. Slowly but surely getting towards that quest so that he can actually start teleporting around, but will not get that huge shield that Zeus will have for himself. She now wanting to be able to safely farm. Good ward does spot out Delight there towards that top side. Kanavi starting the grubs, and Korea, he's over here. It's going to be one grub going over to Kanavi, and I think wisely will not stick around as Delight, wind becomes lightning. Oh dear. He's going to try and hookshot wall dive his way out. It's going to be a rough time. However, Kanavi was looking to come on over and punish. There's a shockwave once again. And Korea, I don't think he's going to be able to lock down Kanavi, but Zeus is also just going to have to distract them with an ultimate of his own. And the last remaining grubs will go towards D+ Kia. But not having anyone die there, kind of crazy.
That was quite fancy, the way that HLE played that. As Delight gets out, as you mentioned, grubs do go over. Kanavi had to use his flash to escape, and arguably Zeus' ultimate was somewhat involved in that as well. Smash is in trouble, has flash on E, so should be okay.
Yeah, able to arcane shift away. Delight not really wanting to tank up these minions.
Delight has not been
the Ezreal.
Speaking of minions, really near too many of them. Is level 3 until getting this wave here, so we'll catch up a little bit. But you can see that damage coming through Smash on a very squishy Camille. Does really hit.
Oh yeah, starting to hurt. But Guma is going to be able to get this wave shoved in. Korea does make his way back down towards the bottom side, though, so I imagine Gumushi is just going to back away. Not looking for plates necessarily right now. Zeus with a slight level advantage. She very close to level 8 himself, but the fact that this Ambessa is doing just fine in this matchup is boding pretty well for Life Esports. She's taking a while to get through all of the shields and shenanigans that the Ambessa can throw out, but I think if in a full commitment, the Olaf should still be pretty scary.
Even though Smash survived that exchange, she's losing a lot of farm. Guma's caught up with Smash as a result of that. Career trying to catch the wave there, hold it, but so much denied. So this is really huge for Life Esports. The game is dead even right now, but one of the biggest boons for D+ was that small Ezreal advantage. Picks up another wave here, and we'll pick that, again, small advantage back up, but Guma's in a pretty comfortable spot right now. One of the things about Olaf we haven't talked about, we've seen a few times, Doran has showcased it quite a bit. When you get to late game into a comp like this that feels like it's got a ton of lockdown, Olaf just keeps coming. He just keeps running at you.
And Kanavi can like press R and then you just Ragnarok and just sort of walk past as he's like dancing with nothing next to you. It is quite funny.
Like Guma positioning when you have this draft with the Ambessa, with the Vi, you can play anything and feel otherwise generally safe because they're going to have to kill a lot of other people before they can touch you. But Olaf does kind of change that equation a little bit.
Smash, ladies and gentlemen, is in some trouble. There's the flash over the W, which was kind of crazy there. Smash trying to fight it out against Gumayushi. Can he actually get it? One more auto, and he picks it up, the 1-for-1. Korea comes in, though. He had to expend the ultimate, but he's able to shadow dash his way back to the turret. Oh my goodness, Smash, that was pretty cool.
Smash on Ezreal, ladies and gentlemen, as Kanavi's going to find out Lucid's in this bush, and I don't know how much he's going to like it.
Yeah, Career is almost dead to minions, actually, as he's following past. There is the Crescent Guard. Career is still going in. However, as Lucid picks up that kill on his opposite number, the flash out from Career will keep him alive for now, as Delight's moving in. Lucid is going to be moving out. And in the meantime, yeah, Showmaker is just making crockery money.
This is a huge win here for D+ in the extended exchange. Oh, maybe not necessarily anymore.
Good ward is going to be there as Lucid stays alive for a very long time. Becca a little bit scared of it, but the True Shot Barrage does just pick the gap. And that is going to be a nice answering kill to even out that number. 500 gold the lead for D+ Kia, but this one's still real close.
So Aurora has 3 kills now. So that's, ultimately when we looked at the play on the bottom side before that, that was something we could have said, but when he had 2, we got the 3rd one there. Now you're like, okay, it was really good for D+ Kia, and now it was still okay for the Ezreal, who ends up getting that kill back there, is now much significantly more ahead of Guma, but there is a cost in the Aurora that is now really fed.
Wow.
So he's playing through this
That exhaust, absolutely pivotal here. I don't think he could have played that better.
Yeah, I really don't think so either. And then here, Lucid is in the brush. Kanavi is not aware of it. And he just uses the Crescent Guard to prevent Zeka from damaging him further here. Then Career comes over. And there's actually a lot of wiggle room here, right? Career flashes away, and Zeka doesn't want to chase any further because he doesn't have any ability to catch Lucid there initially. But Lucid is found and taken out in the aftermath by Zeka. So Aurora ahead, Ezreal ahead. Still a very close game.
Oh, yeah. Xin Zhao also very far ahead. 2-1 and 0 is Lucid this game. Does have his Sundered Sky completed. Not going for the Kanavi special in the Hydra, but still going to be very, very powerful and definitely stronger in skirmishes, even if he doesn't necessarily have all of the clear speed the Titanic Hydra does give you. Ash just going to come and help Lucid out here as he does take down his Gromp. It's Kanavi getting as much information that he can, but will give away his position here as Lucid finds him.
Lucid going to clear this control ward that Kanavi dropped earlier in that fight.
Yeah.
Shiu just biding his time up here. Unfortunately for him, Lucid's a little bit more interested in the more relevant parts of the map right now, so he's just going to have to sit under this turret and, you know, hunker down a little bit. Lucid will get this dragon on the other side, and so D+ will get this dragon here at 14 minutes, very late.
Yeah, it's a super late dragon. Didn't we have third Drake at 17 minutes or something in our previous series?
Yeah,
game one?
the game one we did.
That's crazy.
That was like lightning fast. This is snail slow.
Yeah. I'm glad that we're seeing both sides of the coin. As Korea just wanting to try and leech some experience here, as his Olaf is boosting his way back towards this top lane. Thankfully, there's a cannon, so that did manage to eat a lot of what that wave would have died to. So nicely done. And Shiu is now, with his Hydra now complete, see what the build is going to look like, but it's probably just Stride Breaker into something.
Herald, I would argue, is more valuable here for Hanwha Esports than it is for D+, given how much time Showmaker's had with this mid-turret. The fact that it has Crystalline Evergrowth on it right now, it's basically dead to any interaction with it, and that's going to open the map up for D+. I think Hanwha Esports with this Aurora Vi comp really need that mid-turret down, so they want to fight for this. They absolutely want this to break open the middle of the map so that Kanavi has tons more agency through this mid-game. They're grouped for it. D+ are not. Shiu does have teleport now. His role quest is completed, but I think it might be too late here for a contest. Career is going to spot this out, and I think they just simply will give this up and try to put the focus instead on defending the Herald.
Lucid is going to walk his way in, but they're not going to be able to stop this Herald from going down. Ensuing fight not going to happen either, but Herald for mid-outer turret, I think you'll probably take that if you are D+.
Exactly, that's the proper play. Don't take a poor fight with no setup there when you have already done so much damage to the mid-turret.
And in the meantime, I mean, they're just waiting for Smash to get online. Does have his Trinity Force now, still waiting for the Mirror Mana. And Showmaker will just get stronger and stronger as this game goes on. He's the Orianna, so they're in no rush. So you may as well not take the potentially losing fight. Moving up to a 1.4k gold advantage. As now Delight goes in, they're looking for Showmaker. They'll find him as, yeah, Shockwave comes in, but he's already dead as it goes off. And that is the first kill for Zeus, and a pretty scary time here if anyone wants to face this Ambessa.
Now Kanavi's on the other side of the map.
All right, now looking for that angle. Goes between the worlds as Ragnarok has to be used, and he walks it off.
Still going to be a ton of damage onto this turret. In fact, it's probably just going to be the whole thing. They got a huge wave here to push this one down. And the reason why Kanavi, or what Showmaker didn't know, or thought he knew, I suppose, was with that control ward he had in the jungle of HLE, was that Kanavi's not there, so he could be that far up. He didn't know Delight was there. He found out Kanavi was on the other side of the map when Shiu was forced out there. Lost his ultimate, lost his turret, so Hanwha Esports get the win on the top side of the map here, but also on the bottom side. Notice Showmaker has a control ward on the tri-brush, but the engage range of this Camille, I think, is more than he calculated for in this one.
And Hookshot Wall Dive into the public execution is very, very difficult to get out of the way of. And so the Camille and Bessa combination working very, very nicely. And so now gold is absolutely neck and neck. A little bit of an advantage here as far as neutral objectives are concerned for D+ Kia, but that is about it. And so I think the conversation about where this game is going to go later on is going to be important, as Delight might be in a little bit of trouble here. Does get knocked up by the 3-talent strike. And Korea is going to look for this one. Nice taunt is going to connect. So Delight's definitely dead. Zeka not going to be able to offer too much back there as he gets a bit of damage down, but will not save the Camille.
The Herald hasn't been used yet. You know, they haven't been able to get enough footing in the middle of the map to actually take that turret out. And this is going to be another turret going down here for HLE in the bottom lane. As all that pressure is applied, Showmaker gets this one. Now they're dropping it mid. Smash is heading over to try to defend. We'll see if they can actually get that whole turret down. I think there's a Crystalline, yeah, it was procced there. But they don't get the turret, and that's a big problem here for HLE. They need it.
Whoa, Arcane Shift in from Smash was kind of crazy. There's 2 seconds left on the cease and desist. So thankfully, they had a very accurate count on that cooldown. Otherwise, I imagine Kanavi would have pressed the button. He's Kanavi. He do press the button.
Career also doesn't have his ult, so wouldn't have been able to really help out there. There's a plate left on that turret. 45 seconds left on the Dragon. The fact that it's still up means that HLE are going to have to do something creative here. They may just simply give the Dragon because, you know, it's a late Dragon here. We're already 18.5 minutes in. The Cassiopeia's got 3 minutes left for Rod. It's going to be so strong later on. Ezreal is about to transform his Muramana for 2 items, so, you know, pick your battles, I think is the simplest way to say this. But it is HLE. The general rule is pick every battle.
Yeah. It is go in. That is generally the rule.
They're just finding out recently that they don't have to pick the battle. There's picking not battling. Which is a big reason why they won MSIs. They were able to adapt a ton of styles through the road to MSI, as well as the tournament itself. Tons of adaptation, but they are going to send Delight over here to try to get some information about a potential contest.
Yeah, Kanavi is over there. Zeus is going to be able to take down this outer turret, but does still have teleport at the ready. Let's see whether Kanavi can get this steal. He's not able to. Does get into the pit, but does get himself away. Still, HLE, they take down the top outer turret. It is still a decent move for them as, oh god, it's a Chemtech Soul. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, Ox, what did you do? This is an Olaf draft.
But it's also an Ambessa draft.
Yeah, and an Ambessa draft. Like, this is an incredible Chemtech Soul game for both teams. We do have Olaf kept in the pen, but gets a big old shield. There's cease and desist from Kanavi. Can he get himself out of this turret range? That's the question. The answer is yes. Has to use the flash to do so. As HLE are also looking for an inner turret here. True Shot Barrage does get double value. But Zeus is just pushing them away.
I think that Xiu, he held his flash for so long, didn't go so all there. I think he was just thinking that if he could hold his ground with the Shen ultimate, they were actually going to be able to turn that into a winning play. You could see in the, when we watch the replay, you'll see it, but you could see in a moment there was a moment, okay, hold up, we have a deep TP here to get the punish on Zeus, so it looks like ultimately we'll get at least something out of this.
Yeah, it looks like Hidemaker is turning into Showmaker here in this game, Wolf, as he has teleported in. Zeus is, yeah, surrounded completely. 3-talent strike comes in. He's doing some funny business, but that is going to be blocking down the kill. The answering Baron will ensue, and let's see whether this one's going to be fast enough, because it's 20 minutes and 30 seconds. Shabazz teleport. Let's see whether he can do it. I mean, this Baron is going down quite slowly, and it is a 4 versus 5 in theory. They make their way over. Delight is just dead. This Baron was optimistic at best, and Lucid will deliver an orb to the enemy jungler, and they'll say thanks for the leash. D+ are now so far ahead.
The crowd roars because this is a huge swing in this game. Hanwha had so much control. They played the Dragon contest perfectly. I mean, that was so brilliant, right? They got the top turret. They had Kanavi there for a 50-50 steal. Zeus' teleport ready. Everything about how they played that Dragon into the push in the bottom lane was brilliant. But then they just got too greedy. As we go all the way back to this, don't be surprised if we do jump out of this. But Xiu here is just trying to buy time. He's got the Shen ultimate coming. Flashes away at the last second because Lucid's here. It looks like Lucid's like, I'm going to flash for a Crescent Guard here to trap Kanavi. But he doesn't opt for it. He gets Kanavi's flash instead. And now he comes over here, still flash in hand. They look for the play. Delight goes in super early just to buy space, and they just blow him up while basically ignoring him. And then the follow-up here with the flash that Lucid didn't use in that bottom lane play allows him to get in here and close the gap, push HLE away, and secure the Baron. A bit greedy here from Hanwha. They thought they could turn Zeus' death into a larger advantage. It's Zeus' death into a bigger disadvantage as a result.
Yeah, and I like the idea of capitalizing, but they needed to just leave. They absolutely needed to leave when they realized they didn't have enough damage to take down the Baron that early. And it's been long enough that the Baron's been this tanky, right? Like, it's not much of an excuse. Like, you know that, you see that health bar going down, just leave. Just get out of there. It's too dangerous. Not to be the case. I mean, if HLE are anything, they're courageous, okay? They are brave.
Confident.
They stick around. But I don't know, sometimes bravery and stubbornness are very close friends. Let's just say that. Smash now holding the wave just outside this inner turret. And this game could really just fall away from HLE now.
I want to remind everyone that mid turret is still up for D+. Like, that's how much control they've had.
And that was hit by a Herald, too.
Yeah. And that means that the Vi can't make any tricky plays, really. The wave is always caught by the turret, so it's hard to actually get control over any of the objectives or any of the prio. And that's why the mid turret is so important. And now they just have to deal with the Baron defense. So getting into range to touch that turret feels like it is light years away. Smash going to take out this inner here. And D+ are just really ballooning in gold now. Looking for that third item for Smash. He probably has it on his next back here.
Yep. Hexplate done here for Shio as well. He's going to have the Ragnarok whenever he will need it. And Smash just rotating over, taking down turrets all over the place. More plates raining down. And honestly, like, Smash has just been incredible on this Ezreal so far over the last, honestly, like, month or so, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's really started to become the big carry for D+, that I think we've been waiting for quite some time.
I think Smash has always been really good at Ezreal. He's been really good at Caitlyn. But when D+ aren't playing as a full unit, it's hard to see that sometimes. Now they're going to try to punish him.
Yeah, they're going to challenge. They're going to make sure that they are playing like that unit. As Showmaker gets close in on the two-man Shockwave is too good out of Showmaker. And that is going to be the ultimatum thrown down. D+ say what? I don't really care. We'll take your ultimatum. Zeus doesn't find the public execution, but it is going to be Ushi taking down this Shen. And these health bars are getting lower and lower. So it is a one fight in theory from D+, but they cannot move further.
Yeah, no, never underestimate that Ambessa with her buttons up. Because, she absolutely will get the punish as they turn this engage here onto Showmaker. Showmaker's like, thanks for giving me the setup for the double. As look at the Zeka goes back in and Showmaker says, thank you very much. You turned my
and he waits for Zeka to deliver himself as like, well. It's crazy.
I was going to look for the one-man peel for myself. Let's look at this flash from Career too. But Zeus is like, hello. Almost gets smashed as well, there, which would have made it a 1-for-1. Going with some fancy footwork in the fight. But still, D+ with a huge advantage here. And even though HLE were able to get a little bit back there, it's not like that's going to give them alone map control. They're trying to get over here to muster up some priority over this dragon right now as D+ limp back to the jungle. And I just don't think this is necessarily the place you want to make your last stand on Chemtech's whole point here for HLE. Not because Chemtech is bad, but just because you're not ready to fight for it. Showmaker has an arm guard for safety for this upcoming fight as well.
Oh god, True Shot Barrage sails over Goomer and Delight here as the Crescent Guard used very early because there's a Viking being delivered to the backline. Goomer's immediately punished. The bot lane goes down and we are flashing in. This Ragnarok is lasting forever as Zeka has to get over the base gate in order to escape. And with those two dead, this is a guaranteed soul point for D+ here. They are going strength to strength, man. There's another kill. Kanavi goes down. What is happening?
I mean, they're getting this inner turret down here. The cool thing about this fight is Lusa looks for the wind becomes lightning. He doesn't find it, but he's just like, you know what? I'm going to send it because there's an Olaf coming. And initially it looks like he's gone too deep onto Guma because Guma's so far back. And you're like, well, you can't get this done alone. But he's not alone. Look at the positioning of Shiu at the beginning of this fight. Look how far away he is, but he's closing the gap. He's closing the gap. They don't have vision on him. He's coming over here. Blast Cone in from Mega. And now Kuma's like, oh, half health actually seems pretty bad to be in right now because the Sin jumped on me. And they delete all that damage, and unfortunately Zeka is also cut off. So there's no damage to peel for Zeus here. And Kanavi, you just have to retreat. Kanavi's able to taxi his way out here, but Shiu gets the shield.
No.
And so it's even worse. That final auto for Showmaker for Hanwha fans felt like it stayed in the air forever.
Yeah, that was like infinity shields that came in on top of Shiu in the nick of time. His own plus the command protect. And Showmaker has now got a full Zhonya's. There is also the cheeky little book there that he's got and a fully stacked Dark Seal. And I have a feeling that there's a Magi's in the future of D+ Kia if they make it there. 4 minutes on the Chemtech Soul, and if you're an HLE fan, you definitely do not want to see that over on D+ with how Shiu is going to be playing after that one comes in. Mega Blastcone is going to deliver Career to a weird spot, but Lucid is in position, and Zeka taking a lot of damage here. True Shot Barrage comes down, Public Execution to try and escape as Showmaker goes golden to avoid all of the damage and follow-up, and Kanavi's dead once again.
I think the story of this game will not be about this Baron, will not be about Smash popping off. Most people remember this game as the Hanwha Baron throw.
Yeah.
This one for D+, absolutely safe, as we will see a last-minute contest. They're just going to drop off it and look for the turn.
Looking for the turn. Zeus is going to get exhausted as soon as he shows up. Shiu takes down Delight before the fight has really started. Petrifying Gaze is scary onto Lucid there, slows him up for a moment. And Zeka has finally joined the fight, tries to dash cannon forward, doesn't find the full combo on a Showmaker though, unfortunately, and takes so much damage back in response.
They've got no ults. HLE have no tools to walk through, control vision, and contest this Baron. They're going to have to try.
Kanavi just respawned. As, yeah, I mean, Korea will watch the top laner walk in, but who cares? The Baron is guaranteed, and D+ is just going to leave.
They just don't have to turn. They don't have to force an awkward fight. They're a little bit softened up by the Baron. But they knew in that when they turned initially off the Baron, dropped it and looked for the fight, that they could get those resources out of Hanwha. After they did, they knew there was no way. They checkmated that Baron. I don't want to compare this Baron take to Hanwha's because this is a 7,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
But you know, my point was D+, They held their ground. They denied Hanwha so much. Hanwha looked for some very aggressive plays, but D+ were able to turn all of their aggression into bigger wins in response, sometimes defensively, sometimes on punishes. And it just felt like the lead trickled until they got the Baron steal, and then suddenly this close game was an incredibly one-sided one.
And now there's 2 minutes on a Chemtech Soul, which would be probably guaranteed end of the game, but that stage might already be there, as Lucid does take a lot of poke. Half of his health bar now down. But this Baron is so difficult to deal with. They don't have a massive amount of range, right? Like, look at this Siege minion. It's just chilling, just hanging out. Gumishi will finally get up towards it, but that's because D+ have kind of left the vicinity, giving Shield some time to push in this mid lane and get some control back. Bounties are up. That outer turret in the mid lane still somehow up and available.
I think D+ are wise to be cautious here because HLE have their ults back up and this composition layers its CC so incredibly well.
Yeah, and you don't have to force it. There's the Petrifying Gaze though. Shockwave is decent as a response, but they've killed Smash! Down will go Delight, but that is not a fair trade as now Lucid trying to fight Kanavi. He'll find it with the Wind Becomes Lightning, and that's going to bring it back towards D+ Kia. Oh man, they get their prize though, so there's that.
You can see what I was talking about in that attempt from Hanwha, but ultimately I think it's just too much of a deficit, too much of a hole they are in. Nice attempt here to try to bring this back. There's another one here from Zeka. See if they can push D+ out of the base.
Yeah, Zeus is still alive. I have to say that I'm still a little bit frightened. However, they're going to look for the turn. Kamishi gets surrounded and the snake will fall. Now Zeus going to be their next target. Lucid gets the flash, finds a 3-talent strike, and it's a double for Showmaker. Lucid still going back in. They'll find basically an ace because Delight is level 11. He respawns way too early. These Nexus turrets are going to go down. And D+ Kia will draw first blood in this Legend Group Series.
D+ Kia to the roar of the crowd here. Gasps of shock from the Hanwha side, turning a series where not one person predicted them to win after they lifted the cup at EWC into maybe a lasting legacy here. Remember, this is an org that shows up early in the year and falls off. This time around, they're showing up a little bit later. They're showing up post the split in the middle, post MSI, where they did not attend, and are going toe-to-toe, beating our #1 team with a 1-0. Now, the series isn't over yet, but it just got a lot more interesting.
And I tell you what, I'm real keen on checking out the rest of the Legend Group. If we get back-to-back upsets in our first 2 days, oh my goodness, I cannot wait. Lucid, that is a repugnant amount of damage. What is that?
For a lot of this game, I thought it was going to be Smash or Showmaker, but the longer it went on, I was like, Lucid is leading my vote right now. He popped off in this game.
That's like 3.5 times what his opponent was able to do. And this is Kanavi on his Vi. We know what he's capable of. Just was completely shut out of this game in its entirety, but not shut out of the series. It's best of threes here in the LCK, and so Homolife Esports have a chance to bounce back. They can say, well, we threw a Baron, haha, let's just win the next couple of games and we can move on from there. But man, ladies and gentlemen, this has already delivered way more than I was expecting. Cannot wait for the next game. Gonna take a short break, then the space, then we'll be back.
빼 얘들아 빼줘 조금만 보자 오늘 보자 카시 보자 보자
노플 이거 해. 앉아.
노플이야 이거 안 빼도 노플 쉴드 줄게
야, 안 돼.
노플 봐봐
와.
오라
끝내면 안 돼. 나이스. 좋다. 끝났다.
와, 용혁 역시.
나이스.
야 가자
나 많아.
바이 나오는 거라 야 타워 치면 돼요
잘했다.
이거지
아씨, 이게 가방이 좋네.
아 괜찮아 동자 잘했어
나이스야.
나이스
맞아.
좋았다 동자
Into this next round of picks. And we do have 10 champions already banned away, right? And these are some pivotal ones as well. The Ezreal has been kind of the AD carry that's an anomaly on this particular patch. So maybe now we're going to have to see Smash on the Victor or something like the Talia on the bottom side of the map, something weird. But we know he's definitely very good at it. But I think a little bit more even footing perhaps moving into this game number 2.
All right, so Poppy, Locke, Gnar. So Locke will be back here for D plus Kia, you have to imagine.
Yeah, I would not want to see Zekrom on that champion. In fact, we did see him on that champion. And
Not for very long. The game didn't go.
It did not last.
Oh.
Although I don't think it was really about Zeka in that one, in the Casper Cup.
That is true, actually.
I'm
remembering back on it.
It was sort of happening elsewhere. That being said, it was that game was still very one-sided.
They'll ban it.
Right. They'll ban it themselves.
Okay, much to the chagrin of the Korean commentators.
Yeah, the Korean commentators were like, no, we wanted to see the law.
I have bad news for them. I think we've seen it exactly one time.
Yep.
It's going to be nerfed, and then we'll see it no more times.
Yeah. And you also, like, it has to be in a game with Lucian as well, just to trigger me, so that there's Ashen Pursuit and Relentless Pursuit.
Yeah, that's
same
always, always a bother for him. So, final ban here could just be Lee Sin. I think in game 2, Lee Sin first pick, 100% viable.
Oh, wow, we're banning both pursuers. No pursuing in this game.
We're in the pursuit of no pursuit.
Indeed.
In this draft.
All right, well, what are we going to be picking that isn't allowed to chase after anyone?
Is also fine, I think, in this situation, but Lee Sin can kind of chase you down. But he doesn't have pursuit in his name.
No, you're not allowed to.
Victor or Lee Sin, those are the two safe ones here, I think. As in the past, we were like, Zeka, Victor, no way. He's not even necessarily playing it in this draft, but he is much better on it, but they will take Lee Sin. Now, you know who's been really good at Victor has been Showmaker.
That's what I was going to say. And now they've got the Victor Skarner, which we saw popularized by Gen G a long time ago. But right now, very good into Lee Sin drafts. The Victor going to be locked. And there's the Skarner. Like,
Oh, you and I are just like, we know everything that's going to happen.
Yeah. This one kind of stood out, though, didn't it?
I mean, game 2 of our last series when everything was happening, but it wasn't for a good reason.
Yeah.
But this one just this is how the meta looks right now. So let's see what the response is going to be here. I mean, they could try to reinvent the wheel a little bit and put Zeka on something a little bit more aggressive to try to win the mid 2v2. But instead, it looks like they want to put Delight, who was arguably their weakest performer in Game 1, on this Bard. I mean, maybe grab Guma Caitlyn and just Caitlyn Bard this one.
It can kind of mess up the Skarner's day if you get a good tempered fate. But we'll see whether it is just going to be the bottom lane locked down. This could be the bottom lane.
I doubt it with the Bard, though.
That is true. That means there is synergy there, right? Yeah. Cosmic Binding into the Weaver's Wall, theoretically, you know, can be fun.
I meant Seismic Shove, but yeah.
Yeah, Zeka was having a little bit of a conversation there, but looks like the Jhin is going to be the option.
The thing is, for Guma, he loves Jhin, he loves Caitlyn. Both are very strong with Bard. And so he was going to be loving life, I think, no matter what. The Jhin does feel a lot like a pick that's going to need a little bit more setup on the upper side of the map. You know, like we're going to need to see Zeka or Zeus on a big frontliner here. Probably going to be Zeus, but there's no Ambessa. There's no Vi in this draft.
Oh, God.
Well, this makes the Victor a lot more open-ended now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm also really confused about what they're going to pair alongside this Pyke, or whether we can already see the bottom lane, right? The Victor Pyke could be what they're going to go for here. And if you do get a gravity field down, right, like if there's ever a stun from the Pyke, then the follow-up from the Victor is actually very, very scary. And then as soon as you've done enough of that damage, the death from below resets start coming in.
They need, Hanwha Esports, they need more damage in this draft. I think Zeka's going to have to be on a scaling pick, and Zeus is going to have to be on a pick that, you know, can frontline further and be more set up for this Jhin, as there'll be a Syndra ban there. Interestingly, for me, I would have been, if I were Lucid in this game in particular, I'd be very happy if they picked Syndra into the Skarner based on what you and I have been casting recently with this pick.
Where the Skarner is like watching the orbs bounce off his armored shell and not really noticing.
It's rubber balls on a brick wall.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, you brought a Nerf gun to my actual gunfight.
Yeah.
It's not quite working. The Vayne going to be taken away here to kind of protect Zeus towards the top side, wanting to play a melee champion. It might just be a Renekton or something like that, perhaps.
It could be Renekton, which I think is a good ban here for D+. The Yone was the other pick I had in mind for Zeka, if he was going to be the one adding the front line to the Jhin. Again, it's a reach, but it is Zeka, and it also is Zeus. So I suppose whichever way you look at it, for D+ Kia, they just don't want to deal with it, which is a fair point. Let's see what this last ban is going to be, because we don't yet know 100% that this Victor is going to the mid lane. It's ban Cassante, so big signals on these top side bans here for Hanwha Life Esports, and D+ Kia will reveal the first part of this, but remember, they have counterpick.
Yeah, and they can choose where that counterpick's going to be going as well. If they picked another mage, then the Victor and other mage can go wherever you'd like to put them. So still keeping things a bit ambiguous. The Rise,
no longer ambiguous.
Consideration. This is feeling like it will be going into Showmaker's hands. You're exactly right.
Okay, so a lot of rotational power here. A lot of pressure on Zeka now. The Talia is still a potential pick for him. It still could be what he wants to opt for here to try to match the Rise rotations a little bit. Good into Skarner. Annie makes this draft a lot simpler.
Yeah. Don't mind the Annie. I feel like they're going to need Zeus to...
Problem is, whatever he does is blind. If he's like, I'm going to Aatrox it, then Shu has so much agency here to counterpick him. So,
is it Rumble? Like, does it have to be Rumble?
It could be Rumble. I don't know, though. Feels like Cassante would have been the one I'd be most comfortable with, but they banned it. And so, what is the option here? Scion or something like that, I feel like just doesn't really fit the bill.
Yeah, and I don't think you want to be playing something like a Zahen.
Aatrox, he's really doing it. I said it as a joke because it's so tough to blind this, I think, in this draft, but it's something he built his whole career on, was blinding Aatrox and winning every matchup. So if you're still going to hang on that one, could work out.
Look, I like Aurelia into Aatrox, but I mean, she or Aurelia is a scary prospect.
Or just play Cannon.
Just play Darius. I think Darius would have been the right call, but it will be the Renekton. And so a very beefy draft out of D+ Kia. It does kind of make the Pyke feel like it fits a lot more, right? Because they've got double mages, and they have a lot of inherent kind of tankiness here.
So what happens with these Skarner games is the Skarner gets, the Skarner sets up the lanes, right? He's going to be in mid and in bottom lane a lot. If the Skarner takes the kills, you kind of like that, as we've seen. We've seen that happen so many times across Kespa Cup here and the LCK, where the Skarner gets super tanky. And when your main source of consistent damage overall is a Jhin, later on in the game, sure, Annie and Aatrox can both do it a little bit. That Skarner is a huge problem. But consider also 2 tanky mages. Ryze is going to build the Rod of Ages Seraphs, and the Victor, who's probably going to go for the Rocket Belt, it'll be very difficult to kill. You've got so many targets you need to cut through. The only one you can kill realistically quickly is the Pyke. Well, the Pyke feels like with this draft, if you get ahead as D+K and you have map control and the Skarner's leading the charge, the Pyke is just following. The Pyke is just catching engages. You got the gravity field and the Skarner. I like this draft. I think it's got strong thematic ties here across the board for D+. This draft here for Hanwha Life Esports feels a little bit more piecemeal. I think it can win if they get ahead, but it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, does have a lot of firepower in the early to mid game, and we'll see whether they can play around it as we get onto the Rift for game 2. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for the second game of the series, and maybe our last of the night. A 4-0? I don't really want a 4-0, but like you were saying, Wolf, feels like there's been a lot of them.
We had one yesterday as well, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
I didn't think it was going to happen. After KT won game 1, I was like, oh, it's, a T1 will bounce back.
And that's kind of what we're thinking right now, which is making me more worried because we have precedent, The 4-0 always wins out, or something like that. But we'll see whether HLE can buck the trend and figure this one out. As I kind of like this bottom lane. I'm kind of interested to see how this Pyke Victor is going to work. Smash has been brilliant on this Victor. The first time he played it, I was like, wow, what a waste. Because Showmaker is so good at this champion, and then Smash was really good at the champion. I'm like, oh, I guess it's fine.
Yeah. It's just a really strong bottom lane pick right now because it's pretty stable and a lot of tough matchups into 80 carries. And you just get through the laning phase, you end up getting your first component, and you're kind of ready to fight. And you're going to get your mana back, and you can go to the mid lane. And we've seen it so often pair well with the Skarner in the mid lane, but will also be the case here in the bottom lane, especially in 3v3s. Kanavi, though, is very mobile on this Lee Sin, and the blind Lee Sin first pick is a very, very strong one. It just comes at such a heavy cost in this draft because of the Skarner Victor follow-up, once you call out right away.
And the amount of players that really do like the Skarner in this matchup as well does give you a little bit of pause. But like you were saying, I mean, I think that HLE should be able to utilize this draft very effectively based on how they like to play the game, which is fast and loose, push as many buttons as possible at all times. And Kanavi, with agency, is a very, very scary jungler. Let's just see whether it's going to be enough now, as he is moving towards his bottom side, clearing out his Gromp and his blue buff right now, and then should be able to potentially contest for this bottom scuttle, as we do have Lucid down there as well.
Really awkward for Jhin into mages like this because he needs some sort of setup because it takes him so long to actually output his damage. Otherwise, the Victor is kind of just chilling as his wave is very far away from Guma right now. Does have the CS lead, which is why that's the case, pushing this one a little bit faster. Yep, but you can see that, without Delight's help, it is very difficult to actually try to put the Victor into an uncomfortable position, especially when you consider he also has teleport, which we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, so Smash, I think, is probably going to be all right. Haven't really seen too much break open, as Lucid here in a bit of a protective stance alongside Showmaker. Both scuttles have been taken. As Lucid picks up a rock, gives away his position as he throws it at Kanavi, who is going to move his way over, looking to clear out that control ward. Should be able to do so, but currently, Lucid finding the better end of that trade.
We're getting to the point where Skarners do so much damage. Okay, Showmaker, this is a bridge too far. Yeah, he flashes, but Zeka can just follow him. And now he got a Bone Skewer coming in. It pulls Delight out of the way, but Showmaker will be taken down. The auto was in the air. And yeah, pushed up a little far with full information. Yeah, well, I mean, with Kanavi, The question is never, it is never ever, has the danger passed? It has never passed. He is still in that bush. He always is there.
And
you
also,
better assume every time.
He didn't have enough time to recall yet.
Oh, I know,
like, no matter what.
I don't fully understand. We'll watch back again. I wasn't really looking at the wave state exactly. No, very easy to walk. What? Very easy to walk away from this one.
Yeah.
He had a ward on the Raptors, which also confirmed Kanavi didn't walk away. Yeah, anyways, this one was a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, not exactly the best move there from Showmaker in the mid lane, but I like the gusto, you know? He went for it, and that's something.
He wanted a little bit more of an advantage over Zeka right there.
Yeah, and now he has much less. Zeka has a 450 gold lead, approximately, and it has spelled out into about a 700 advantage just for the team. As Delight doesn't quite find the Cosmic Binding there. Will be Korea just slinking away. Burn-Earn, as you like to say, is done here for Smash.
Yeah, not often picked up
lighting
first.
things on fire.
But can, in these more extended fights, actually be quite strong into a Jhin.
Yeah, Shu with the Dominus now running. World Ender there for Zeus as well. Just going to escape the Crocodile. As both R buttons just on cooldown. All right, no Chemtech Soul this game. That is going to be the first dragon here that HLE look to be taking right now. There's a Bone Skewer onto Delight, though, as he flashes to get the stun. Gravity Field to make sure that that one is lined up, and I don't think that Safeguard is going to be enough. The flash into the Magical Journey, into the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike onto a Gromp. Will get Kanavi out of there, but that is still a flash down and a kill over to D+.
Yeah, big win here. And the Lucid Skarner doesn't get any assist gold out of that, but I don't think he really cares that much in this situation. Now has level 6 off of the Gromp, so there's not going to be any chase here.
Yeah.
I don't think Kanavi was that interested flashless and without level 6 himself. So, man, okay, he will eventually get forced to stop his recall. Great flash there from Career to secure the stun, kind of keeping Delight guessing on which angle he was going to take there. You could see Delight was trying to suss it out, knew he was in a bad spot. At least was able to get his Magical Journey up, so that was what saved Kanavi with the flash. He is going to try to make a play onto Shiu here top side. Shiu's ult already down, but it reacts, so...
Yeah, Slice and Dice available there for the Renekton, so it wasn't exactly going to be a very possible gank attempt, as there is barrier down from Gumayushi as well, as Smash just ushers him out of the lane with an Arcane Storm.
Imply he wants to stay. I think it does. Skarner is on the other side of the map, which I think you could reasonably assume, and it looks like he will be able to. See if Smash can kill a Jhin here. I don't think so.
No, especially not with Gumayushi able to clear out the wave. He does hit level 6 as well, so the next wave he could possibly take down with a Curtain Call if you would like to in a pinch. But that is neither here nor there. D+ with about a 100 gold lead, but it's teetering back and forth as these minions do get consumed.
So another...
Nothing much in it right now.
Yeah, very close game. Small advantages, you know, top side here for the Renekton. Small advantage for the Victor. Picked up that first kill there on the bottom side. But because of the error of Showmaker, Zeka's in a good spot as well. First dragon of the game has already been taken by HLE. We don't know what soul it's going to be, but they could turn that into a 2-Drake lead. That would be nice. The Grubs, I feel like in this game, not the biggest Grub game of all time. You know, we're looking at a Jhin comp, Annie in a side lane, Aatrox, you know, Ryze.
Yeah.
Might be helpful, but this is not like the Giga Siege comp. Obviously, Ryze has a lot of side lane power, and if he's left to his own devices, we'll get a lot done with that, but this is not a ride or die, Grubs or go home type of game, so whoever doesn't like the fight can just simply opt out, I would say, in this one.
Yeah, I do think that, like, as far as 4-1 is concerned, like, both compositions kind of want to play that sort of style a little bit, so you could get some side laning done, but like you were saying, I don't think it's the most pivotal Grub game. Still, they are up and available now. HLE looking for Smash towards this bottom side.
A wave, though.
Yeah, let's see whether the Curtain Call is going to actually work out here. That's a great flash as he gets kicked over the wall, and down he will go. The turret, it does destroy Delight, but DK, they're just going to be focusing elsewhere. First, Grub does go over to Lucid as they attempt the cross map.
The flash was good from Smash, but man, everything went wide there for Delight. Kuma was like, all right, thanks for the clown show. Guess I'll kill him.
Yeah.
Kuma, he didn't miss critically. Otherwise, that could have been a different story there. He ends up picking up first blood. There's just too many members for Smash to really be able to do anything there despite the whiffs.
Yeah, and Delight being able to tank up the turret indefinitely until he was dead was pretty important. As Lucid looking to try and protect Showmaker here, but he might be in trouble himself. Zeka flashes and does not hit the Scorpion. There's a blast cone available to try and get him out of here. His Crocodile in the area. Zeus does get over, but it looks like Lucid is standing his ground. Career is over the wall, and now Shiu gets in. Actually pulls Delight out, but this is a Bard, so he can magically journey his way back if he wants to, and instead, he's just going to wander out of there.
He also had ult, so if they wanted to try to extend that play, it was a bit of a risky one for D+ to try to do so. So ultimately they decide not to. The Skarner is so difficult to kill into this draft, again, because of all the lack of consistent damage for the moment.
Yep. And his pants are well and truly going to stay up as well, as you can see with
double
belts. If the first one fails, he's got a backup belt.
I like to think he's wearing them cross over each other like an X.
Oh, yeah. Like
across his giant scorpion abdomen.
Yep. Kind of like the cool cowboys from the movies, you know, that seem to have a different belt for each gun that they've got in their holsters. Cool stuff. Anyway, we've got some ultimates now running once again from our top laners, but this just seems to be the thing. When ultimates back up off cooldown, press button.
Well, Shiu has a pretty significant experience lead right now, is up a lot on farm. Zeus will hit level 9. He's just going to turn this into a plate get.
Yep.
And we'll back away as mid laners meet in the mid lane with TPs. Dragon is up. And right now, HLE have a lot of control around the left side of it, but instead of looking for the Dragon right away, they're trying to kind of catch someone on rotation. Finally, Kanavi will just go ahead and take the Sonic Wave in. Career will spot this out. Roamorph is available for Showmaker, so this is not by any means a secure Dragon start.
Yeah, and Lucid is going to walk his way over. Look at the health bar advantage. It is absurd.
They can't hurt him that much.
No. Well, Deadly Flourish does come down, and honestly, they're hurting him a fair bit. Showmaker is going to turn up, though, and down goes Kanavi. Yes, you were right, Wolf. It's going to be difficult to kill this guy, as it's not difficult to kill Career. He has to get himself into the back of the pit. Tibbers running amok as well. There's another Deadly Flourish. The bear does go down, though, as Lucid's getting sniped. Showmaker is looking to tank it up in front of him. He gets himself out of the way. That is Zeka getting in there. They take them both down. Lucid has to get out with the flash, and that may not even save him. It's a double for Zeka and a disaster for D+ Kia.
What's with the holds on objectives in this series? You killed Kanavi, so you have Smite advantage in the fight, but you don't have fight control. So initially, everything gets sent into Lucid, right? He gets stunned. The shot follow-up here from Guma is good. Lucid's very low, but they get the pullback here onto Kanavi, and the attempt from Delight to deny damage isn't enough, so he still dies. Here, it's very difficult for Showmaker to leave, but I think they should have opted to flash him out of there and say, well, you guys don't have Smite, we'll continue to contest and otherwise reset, but they stay. Lucid's so low that Showmaker has to tank. Because Showmaker tanks, he dies. He also messes up the flash and doesn't get out of the pit, which is not great.
Yeah, it was all a little bit of a disaster there for D+ Kia. Now it's going to continue as Smash not going to be able to contend with a 4 now and 0 Annie in the bottom lane.
He got his role quest done before he died.
That's something.
All right, well, this is a bit of a disaster here for D+ all of a sudden. After a really good start in this game, I want to say, you know, he's exactly where he needs to be in these fights, has been so instrumental, but Guma on the accuracy, getting that flourish as well there onto Lucid in the final moments. He is also where he needs to be right now, chasing Career out of his own jungle. There's another one.
Binding lands, and that's going to be a dead Pike.
This comp from ahead is so oppressive. You're not getting away from anything. If you get seen and they start getting on top of you, you don't have friends, you're dead.
Yeah, and also if you're Pike, you're dead.
That's also a problem.
Don't have a health bar.
He's the one who's the most dead all the time in a draft like this.
Well, Showmaker making use of these grubs in the bottom lane. Let's have a look at how this all occurred, though. Even the captive audience to make sure that Gumyushi gets an assist from this play. Very, very cool.
No way for the Pike to come over and impact this one. Career, I mean, sometimes you go fishing. Sometimes you catch something you don't like.
And just barely tagged by that Cosmic Binding. I kind of thought that sidestep had have worked out, but it did not. And so therefore, the Pike does go down. Still, first items are coming on through for most people in this game. It is just waiting on Shiu to complete his first one, as he had to take a bit of a detour for some steel caps and an Executioner's Calling. But we know Heartsteel, very important for Lucid. Try and stack that one up as now Smash throws down an Arcane Storm towards Gumayusi, taking a lot of damage here.
Is it time?
Time for?
Pressing R for these two guys.
Oh, yeah, probably.
They both have their ultimates, so...
There we go, pressing R. There you go. Well, thank you very much. Zeus, realizing that he hadn't quite pressed his yet, he presses it. He's now walking the wrong direction, though. Bone Skewer will connect on to Zeus as the Ignite goes down. He's still stunned. The slice over the wall. He does get back. That was very cute, but it's not quite enough as Zeus is taken out.
Career got him on the technicality, a bit of a late presser.
Yeah. Kanavi not winning out on this trade just yet, but Delight comes on over to try and help him out. And that will get the Scorpion out of there.
I know we don't talk about Heartsteel stacks a lot. Oh, well, we're not going to talk about it right now either. Showmaker's going to need to leave.
Well, that is a Tempered Fate. Little mini stun kick into the wall there onto Showmaker, and he is surrounded right now. Tries to get back towards the turret. It does not work, and the Safeguard does get Kanavi out of there. So a really good dive. Going to be picked up here by HLE, but it's in trade for the turret on the bottom side, so first turret blood is going to even out the gold almost completely.
Oh, this game is so wild. I think, okay.
Yeah, flashes because the turret got mad. And there's a bullet. Good sidestep from Smash. He tried to get through, and it didn't work. Gumayusi is going to be able to lock down the kill.
Uma's popping off again on Jhin. It's one of his best picks. He's got a lot of really top-tier picks, obviously, but this one is one he's most known for next to Caitlyn over the last few years, as Xiu may also be a victim.
Yeah, Zekru was tanking up the turret here, but does make it out with the flash. Xiu not going to survive is Lucid. Not sure about that one, but the Pyke is able to lock down the kill onto the Lee Sin. Magical Journey, I believe, was taken there by Korea. He does find his way to Narnia, but isn't able to catch up with Delight here.
This game is starting to get to a bit of a silly state.
Yes.
What I was going to say before we had that fight, the first version of it, was that the gold lead is very small for HLE because there's a lot of money on this Renekton who had a huge lead for a lot of the time in this game, but the overall lead that's across an entire team is HLE's, right? And that's why I think that the gold lead makes it look like they're not that far ahead, but they really are. Smash, it was a really tricky spot there because he was just on the edge, so if he knew if he kept walking, that final shot was still in bounds. So he walked up, and then he was kind of, he 50-50'd it, and Guma had his number. Here, it's a little bit of a messy follow-up.
Oh, the Impale got Zeka out of there. Yeah. That's what made Korea look so silly. He's like, I'm following the Annie, don't worry. Wait, where's the Annie?
Well, they basically made it so there was, both exits were covered.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
As Lucid here doesn't have his Impale for this fight, so contesting this Soul point for Hextech Soul is going to be a large challenge.
Yep, I think they're going to have to go for it, though, as there is a bear dropped on the Scorpion. Lucid may survive, but he's not looking too hot. Great stun is going to connect there onto Kanavi as they do turn it onto Smash, and down he will go. Zeus now fighting against Xiu here as it's a decent Bone Skewer, but killing the Aatrox is not saving that Soul point, and I don't know whether they can even kill the Aatrox. So Xiu, he has to try and get out of there. The Dominus comes on forward, another Bone Skewer, but it does not matter. It's Kanavi grabbing another one, and HLE are really running away with it now.
They really are. And that fight looked kind of peculiar because we had Showmaker on the other side there on the Dragon, you know, saying like, you may have gotten our jungler out of the pit, but wait until my jungler gets back, we're going to take this Dragon. Wait a minute, the logic doesn't add up. As Lucid here trying to close the gap, doesn't have his Impale. If he had Impale, they wouldn't even play as far up, right? Because he could flash Impale them, but they know he doesn't have it. So they just walk straight up to him and push him away. Showmaker on the other side here with the Renekton. Kind of get the Dragon as Kanavi's by himself.
He is. He's dead. Okay, Smash is going to pick up that kill.
That's normal.
Very good.
That's normal.
D+.
That's very normal.
I think this was intended, wasn't it? The intended outcome here for HLE. Kanavi gets a lot of information. There are bad guys in the top side.
Yeah, if you were, you know, a Hanwha fan at the doctor's office, the doctor was taking a look at this, like, oh yes, well this can happen at this part of the season, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it is very normal actually to be, you know, 2,000 gold ahead, but your Kanavi just sends a Rift Herald into the enemy jungle. And
he wanted to kill the outer turret top lane with Shelly, but found bad guys. Okay, speaking of bad guys, Xiu is completely surrounded, does slice and dice, but the stun comes in, and boom goes the Renekton. My God, Zeka does so much damage on this Annie. I'm just not used to seeing an Annie combo tear apart a Renekton like that because he is 5-1-5 right now.
Yeah, he also does not really have any of the magical types of resistances, so
No.
he is the biggest lead for D+, though. Turned into a handbag in that moment, as D+ will get a big push here onto this turret and get out just fine. I don't think Guma's going to be ulting to chase a pike on this one. They'll even get the scuttle on the way out. I think D+ are playing the map really well, despite the deficit. They're finding small pockets of gold here and there, but it's the team fighting where they just have no control and no agency in this one anymore. And so it just gets tougher and tougher when we get to the brass tacks of it's Hextech Soul on the next dragon, 2.5. You can't just walk away from that one or just send your Skarner forward with no impale on that one, or you're going to lose the game over it. So they need to figure out now in the next 2.5 minutes how they can wrestle Prio away, if that's even possible, and look for control over the area. You've got a Victor, you've got a Skarner with Flash and Pale. You've got Realm Warp for different creative angles. This is going to be a moment where D+ find a miracle, right? They're able to pull a rabbit out of a hat here, or otherwise, I think we are going the distance.
Yeah, and they also need to make sure that they can protect Smash, who will have his Flash available for this next dragon fight, which is going to be very, very important. The Baron has just spawned as well. And getting value out of Korea, I think, will be a difficult task as well, one that they need to try and figure out, because the Pyke, as the game goes later, as we've experienced, just kind of does less and less.
A lot of aggression here from HLE to get control of that Dragon Pit. It's a bit early, but setting up to push the Renekton away, letting this wave get pushed by Zeus on the bottom side. No one's answering Showmaker currently, though. And this kind of has been the trend of mid laners behind. They just go all the way as close as they can get to the enemy base, while the rest of the group is trying to collapse on their other side, and then their other side laner, usually the top laner, ends up getting a defensive posture, and then it's rinse and repeat. So like HLE wanted to get something there, and it's kind of a net negative, in fact, what they get overall, because they were in control of the dragon too early. Got some vision, but there's plenty of time for D+ to recontest and clear it.
Zeka was looking for a bit of an angle towards Korea there. He knew he could one-shot him if he got anywhere near, but wasn't actually able to. Nice little dash away there. So Korea will live for the minute. Smash just trying to safely lock down these minions.
This is tricky.
Yeah. Showmaker moving on over. They do not manage to get the wallbang on to Zeus, but he gets slowed down as the rocks come in. The flash and the ulti now invested.
I mean,
and 50 seconds until Drake.
Are they gonna, if they had vision control over Baron, there was an angle there to at least try to turn this into a force of some answer from HLE, because Zeus was the one with TP on the top side of the map. He wouldn't have been able to TP to stop the Baron. Zeka didn't have it, but they don't have enough control. They don't have really the damage just yet either on that top side play there to look for something like that. No Gambit. They don't end up with Dragon control at all whatsoever. They're going to be the ones who have to walk in. They do have those tools though, right? The Flash Impale. They have the Smash Flash back available, like you mentioned.
Yep.
There are some ways here.
Oh, but they may not have their Scorpion. Never mind, he's incredibly tanky. It's kind of absurd. There's the kick, though, into the Tempered Fate, and they line them up. Gumayushi's now set up to get the damage in, and Showmaker is just dead. The answering kill is going to be there, though, as the damage from Smash is pretty massive. Korea tanking up so many of these bullets and goes down to the Aatrox. They catch Shiu mid-slice as well, which was gorgeous. And a 2-for-1 is going to ensue. That should guarantee this soul.
I don't know what D+ are going to do here. Renekton has TP to come back in at full health. Some poke coming through from Smash here, but it's on to Delight. I think they're just otherwise largely going to ignore them and take this dragon.
Well, Realm Warp is up. I just don't know whether Showmaker is going to be up in time.
No way. They get this dragon for sure. The D+ can't get anywhere near it. Guma and Delight are holding the line.
Yeah, control wards are going down, and D+, they realize they are not taking this one away. So HLE Esports, 4 Drakes in a row, 6 minutes until an incredibly early Elder. The gold lead is still not massive, but yeah, Hextech Soul, yeah, gold need not apply.
Yeah. It's an issue about the breakpoints of the items here for D+ as well, as they need that actualizer for Showmaker before he can really do damage. The idea here is good for D+. You can see they want to look for the Flash Impale, but it's the Tempered Fate that ruins everything they're trying to do here. Shiu gets in the back line. Imagine with an Impale here what he would have been able to do, but the Impale is just really useless at the end of the day in the grand scheme of things because of that ultimate there from Delight, and they just kind of have to walk away.
It's beautifully done. And now, 15-7 is going to be the kill lead here for HLE Esports. They've kept this one at about a kill a minute, a much more bloody game than the last one, and it does feel like it suits HLE absolutely perfectly. As Korea, not sure about that one, as he is going to be able to bone skewer Zeka, gets him back over that wall, but it's looking somewhat dangerous. Did at least have a blue man down there to try and help him out.
Showmaker's got to be about halfway to that third item. And I don't know, surviving a Baron push is realistic. I mean, they have a Rise, they have a Victor, but okay, Kanavi, be careful.
Yeah, Lucid looking to try and take this fight because Smash was moving up. She was waiting over the side.
I do think that HLE have a bit of a problem with Baron damage themselves, even from a lead here. So they're finding it difficult to look for Baron in turn. And after game one, I think you could expect there's probably a little bit of extra weight on their minds in that regard. But they aren't getting the Baron just yet, and D+ are just kind of farming it up at this moment in time.
But Hextech Soul, very scary prospect, and the idea of fighting around a Baron will be a tough one. Tempered Fate is going to lock down the jungler. D+, can they get into position? That is the question. So much damage going down onto Lucid, trying to escape. They try and turn it. The Impale is gigantic, and he even flashes away. They take out the Pike. She is so close to dead. And now it's Zeus' turn to kind of go ballistic. He's looking to get on top of Smash, but misses a bunch of buttons. Now Showmaker flashes away from Delight, who tries to flash in. Everyone is using their summoner spells now.
The whole time that fight was happening, I think probably every Hunter Life esports fan in the world was like, that's a Skarner in a choke point! You're going deep! I thought he might have gotten more. He was sitting on Flash Impale. There was like almost a 5-man Impale angle there, but he gets the two that matter when they go way too far forward here after Delight's ultimate. As you can see, the Impale comes through, or sorry, the ultimate from Delight comes through there, and then Zeka walks forward here, and then Guma getting caught here is the worst of it.
That's crazy.
That's so much of your damage gone, and a comp that's already so low damage outside of combos, which is why they played it that way. And then Smash and Showmaker here are able to kite it out. Showmaker is able to flash. If he gets caught there, could have been way worse. They might have been able to turn it into a Baron play. Hanwha Life Esports still have Hextech Soul. They're still in a pretty strong commanding position in this game, but I don't feel like chasing the Scorp into the choke in the enemy jungle was necessarily the most optimal play there.
Wow, 2 damage between Zeka and Xiu. 2 damage. That's ridiculous. That's the closest I've seen a damage grab.
Zeka's clearly in the lead, though.
Clearly, by 2.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Xiu almost did and damage to an Aatrox, which would have put him in the lead, but he did not. And so that means that, as you say, absolutely clearly.
I think the key thing to note here is like how little agency Showmaker and Smash have had. Okay, hold on.
That's another Impale onto Kanavi. Tempered Fate goes down. He does just have the W to get himself out of there. Now Zeus is looking to make his way in. Nice little knock-up as the curtains are being called, pulled back by the Infernal Chains, and down goes the Skarner. That should mean Baron. Kanavi's already on it, and Zeus is already underneath the enemy inhibitor turret. I'm not sure whether he really wants to, as he's going to have to umbrally dash through that base gate. Does do that as Xiu looking to make his way in. The Arcane Storm not going to follow them that far. And still, I mean, 30 seconds to wait on Lucid. This should mean that the Baron goes to HLE.
If you weren't convinced Kanavi is a changed man, look no further than him being like, guys, Baron is up. I think we can just back away here. He's the one who starts this off. Now, this time going into this Skarner solo and then running away means, hey, wait a minute, there's no more Impale in this choke point. So it's actually fine to chase here if they all go. But Kanavi is going to the Baron. This Jhin ultimate is very high value, and I think this is the moment where you turn around. But Delight is going forward, Zeus is on the chase on the Showmaker, and it's all a bit silly in the end, as they all try to come over here to try to help him, which means they're also not on Baron, which means Kanavi gets off Baron, Xiu shows up, and they've all taken so much damage from this Victor that it's very awkward. They're all very low health. The respawns are coming, and they can't actually do Baron. So Baron does not happen. In live, Elder in 30. Lucid no flash.
Oh, no. Wolf, is this just are we just burger flipping? Oh, no, we're not. Showmaker going to have to walk the wrong direction to avoid the Tempered Fate. He is lasting a long time, but he gets kicked back to the open arms of Zeka. Another great Impale is going to come down, but it's only on to Kanavi. Shiu trying to keep them at bay, but the Pike just cannot even stand in this game anymore. And the curtains have been called by Gumayushi. Lucid able to avoid a couple of them, and he's very tanky. So he's not going to be dying at this point, but with 2 dead, I think this should be a free Elder for HLE.
Well, Elder should go straight to Baron. It's going to be very difficult to contest Baron. And then we have Elder and Baron. The push is
and
going
Soul, I mean, it's Exodia, man.
There's literally no way, right? There's no way D+ could come back from this.
Absolutely not. It's impossible. 0 chance.
Shiu is just going to be free food as well.
Yep, they're going to test out their brand new dragon here, as it does just consume the crocodile.
On the other side of the map, you know, D+ can get some vision on Baron, but trying to control it is just, it's a bridge too far. It's actually like 3 bridges too far.
Yeah.
Maybe even like 3.5.
Wow, that's so many bridges. Probably
D+,
too many.
they come over here, they put 1 ward in the pit. It's not going to last very long. At least it's got 4 health points. And this Baron is going to go over, and now you're trying to pre-push waves. So they have the mid wave pushed up to the midway point. That's as far as Shiu can send. His career is just trying to buy further time. They're really just doing this to buy Elder time, as he has Edge of Night.
Yeah, so he's able to avoid the Tempered Fate.
This is just time buy, right? The Elder is ticking down a little bit here.
Yep.
Look at Showmaker's wave. He pushed out bottom lane. They pushed out the top wave with Smash. Like, D+ are just prepping for the defense right now, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. Showmaker's going to push this whole wave through. We'll even get a little bit of plate gold for his troubles. He will eventually need to come back because they need his wave clear for the defense, but he's done a really good job of keeping at least this bottom wave far from home.
Yeah, could be some bounty gold over to DK as well, which is kind of crazy. Smash does have decent wave clear, but against Baron, it's going to be a tough one. Okay, that's a cute little dash over the wall there from Zeus to deny the Bone Skewer. And there is that bounty gold we were talking about. Spending bounty gold when your Nexus is about to explode, it's not exactly the greatest of things, but look at these turrets, man. They are melting to the hands of HLE, who have every neutral everything except for the Grubs at this point in the game.
Gio on the flank, just 1 more Hail Marys all D+ have got.
They've still got 45 seconds on Elder, though. They cannot be starting a fight right now. It's just too dangerous. These minions are just so scary. Yeah, Shiu just wanted to catch that wave. Will be able to do so as Delight getting sliced on here. The rest of HLE are going to move up. Korea looking to see who he can catch out of position. The flash away from the Crocodile, as he will be able to at least hold on to that wave. Korea almost burns down to the Elder, but these Nexus turrets, they are just dying. I'm not sure about that Tempered Fate, but it doesn't even seem to really matter. As Shiu getting into the backline, they realize they have to pull the trigger. Kanavi fighting 3 of them, and finally HLE will get back to business. Gumayushi just needs to hit the Nexus a couple of times, and they will be bringing us to that 3rd game in this Legend Group series. An incredible one so far. The Flash Impale does nothing. The Scorpion burns down. Both junglers taking a little bit of a break here, but I think the Nexus is going to take a break as well, and HLE will bring us to a deciding game in this series.
I think D+ putting on a clinic of base defense, almost looked like a drill they were running there, but ultimately there was just no way they were going to stop the Hextech Soul Elder Baron push, even with the wave setup they had, the flanking Renekton to catch the mid wave. Eventually, HLE were going to be able to get it done. They did have enough time left on that Elder. Clean game here from HLE, with the exception of that 1-2 man Impale where they went too far. Otherwise, very strong game. Kanavi with a few mistakes, but that's a classic. It doesn't matter. Yeah, Kuma on the Jhin. My God, his ultimates, the follow-ups with his flourishes. He was so ahead so early. I'm curious to see what his damage number is here. 28,000. It's a longer game. He's competing with Smash, who's on a Victor, who's just hitting people repeatedly in choke points. But I think the way that Hanwha played together here was very clean. A draft that was pretty complicated to play out, but they executed it well. Zeus pulling out an old favorite in the Aatrox, and sure got bullied in the lane, but had a large impact outside.
Exactly right, and was able to really flourish in side lanes towards the end of the game, and especially in those team fights. It's always just going to be that little bit more deadly than the Renekton as the game goes on. I felt like D+ had a composition that could have legs to get themselves later into the game, but Gumayusi absolutely said no. But that means that we get another game, which is exactly what we wanted. We'll take a short break now, then the space will break it down, then we'll have the final game of the series.
이거 한 대 이번에 가면 될 것 같은데. 야 이거 살짝 볼게. 스카라. 천천히 빨리지 마.
천천히.
깼어 해야 돼.
뒤에 레넥 해.
뒤에 레플롱이야.
뒤에
미칼 썼어. 내
뒤에,
레플롱.
방금 5초. 야 라이즈 높여.
마블라.
라이즈 턴대.
잠깐만.
라이즈 턴대.
라이즈
라이즈 턴.
언제 되는데?
스카라 턴대. 아 깨자 렉 떴어. 라이즈 턴대.
언제 되는데?
라이즈 턴 안 돼.
Now, there's a lot of catch-up to do if D+ want to push up to the top of the Legend group, but a win here would mean so much for either squad.
Oh, it certainly would. I think for D+, if they're able to show themselves in game number 1, that they can take down HLE, a team that completely wiped them off the Rift the last time they met up in that best of 5. It looked like a walk in the park for Life Esports that time. This time around, they are making them work for it, as the Nocturne going to be banned away once again. The Poppy also. There is the lock ban that we were expecting. So we get into the draft for this one. It's first pick over to D+ Kia. Electing to go for that in the third game is like, it's kind of flip a coiny to me. I think that like counter pick can be so valuable, especially for a team like HLE.
I agree. We saw it in our last series, so it was incredibly important having that counter pick, as poor Gnar in the top lane did not have a good time.
No.
Akali banned away from Zeka here in this final spot. Locke was banned early. So what this final ban ends up being, it really depends on where Life Esports want to send the beginning of this draft. The big Lee Sin blind pick is gone. Jarvan, I think, is one of the really premier jungle picks that's left available right now, as Caitlyn will also be denied. A lot of
It's an interesting one.
value from Caitlyn across both of these AD carries who are very known for it.
Yep. Also denying Korea the Lux as well that he has shown such mastery on
Looks
in
like
the past as well.
Is what D+ Kia wanted first pick for, was to get the Jarvan, but HLE are just going to slam Lucian Milio in response to have a dominant bottom lane. I don't really think we're seeing a mage here for Smash, but maybe some type of Lulu lane could be the answer here in response. We don't really see enchanters very much at all, but trying to fight fire with what's left available here, especially with Caitlyn banned. No Bard. Pretty tricky.
Not sure I like the Xayah angle, personally. Yes, Lucian is lower range, but it means that you then have to fight him in range, and that just feels pretty yucky. The Inara,
Lulu lane.
yeah, the Inari Lulu is going to come through instead, and I'm not sure whether I'm a huge fan of this one either. We've seen Inara really struggle more recently as the blind Gnar comes in with a couple of bans to protect it on HLE's side. Zeus back to his debut champion here, something that he's very comfortable on.
They banned the Vayne. Ambessa is gone. They should be able to ban the Tristana, but that also leaves Shiu's Varus. Now, Shiu's Varus has been, if you're a D+ fan, it might make you grab your seat a little bit more tightly to hear those words.
What about the Aurelia counterpick?
I don't advise it.
Olaf. I mean, there's a... Oh, no,
Olaf's
gone from
He already
game
did that one.
Yep.
Twisted Fate ban is pretty interesting.
Just helping Zeus out there a little bit. The 80 Twisted Fate not going to be countering the Gnar this time around.
Could be something that they could use to try to help protect the Gnar and look for further single target picks with this Lucian.
What does this mean for what Showmaker wants to play with a Twisted Fate ban? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know yet, as they will ban the Tristana, but the Varus is still available. And what Hanwha Life need right now is a jungler. I think trying to thin out Zeka's pool further is probably not the play here. But, you know, Trundle, I think, is probably not something Hanwha Life Esports are looking to play in this draft anymore. So is also kind of challenging. Maybe banning Wukong could be an option here. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Because that pick works well with the Lucian Milio. And even though you don't have great early game, you've got two lanes already that look pretty solid with the Gnar and the Lucian.
I would actually like them to save counter pick for Kanavi. I actually think the Trundle is a really big deal because with the Yunara composition, you would kind of like to be able to run a tank, right? Front to back could be something that you could do here. Instead, looks like HLE are going to
Kiana
save counter pick for Zeka, and Kiana going to be locked in for Kanavi.
Or the other
I'm nervous.
Plus, the new D+ Solid, the jungler who played Jarvan into Kanavi's Kiana did not have a fun time, but Lucid is a bit of a different beast. As we'll see what they decide to do here. Will it just be the Varus? Instead, looking for the blind Ahri. Ahri Jarvan is a pretty strong setup and works well for picks, but doesn't necessarily work well with Yunara Lulu in the same sense.
All right, Syndra instead.
Okay, so Syndra, not a whole lot left to counter that either. It basically just is Showmaker saying, I'm so good at this pick that I'm going to get prio into whatever Zeka shows.
Give me the Aurelia. Do it. Don't be scared.
Now, this is a matchup that Keen once wisely said that most people consider the Gnar to be the counter, but he considers the Jax to be the counter. And I think that is in the eye of the wielder, right? And if she was confident that he can pull this off, it is a heavy risk, but it works so well with Lulu Jarvan.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Follows up to Syndra really well. It's you can see it's 75% win rate. I think it's only been played 4 times this entire season. It's the year long. So very niche pick right now that Shio is just going to slam down. This is what Shio's done so much this year, is just saying, I'm not going to do conventional. I'm going to do me.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm really interested in how the Jax is going to go. Because Shio has found himself in difficult positions with some of his picks, but has also really popped off on a few of them as well. Zeka was thinking about whether it was a Sylas angle. He's decided it's not, as the Galio does come in. This will be able to help Kanavi stay alive in some of these fights, and also with the Gnar bouncing in, you can get in on top of him with that Gargoyle and provide a bit of a frontline, because there is not a lot of frontline for HLE right now. And so the Galio, being a very tanky boy, will be able to help out there.
I'm actually a big fan of the Galio here. I think it's really going to prevent a lot of the setup that D+ Kia are looking for. Can weather the storm against the Syndra pretty well. The question is, can they get to smash with this draft? Because I don't think they have an issue with damage with the Galio pick to come through here. I think they've got plenty of that with the upfront burst of the Lucian and the Kiana, as well as the Gnar. I think this, to me, of the 3 drafts, is the most difficult to say clearly one side has an edge. It's going to be all about execution. This is a banger fearless draft here.
Yeah.
I do think there's a little bit more volatility with D+'s draft. I think it's a little bit tricky if they fall behind. If, like you said, Shiu has an off game and falls behind with his Jax, it isn't going to do a whole lot here. But this one is shaping up to be fantastic here, especially with all the comfort across the board. Kanavi, Kiana, the Zeus, Gnar, and Guma. I mean, Lucian has basically been a Guma exclusive this season.
Yeah, and it was banned away in the last game, right? In game number 2, D+ got rid of it because they were scared of the Gumayushi Lucian. And let's see whether it's going to demonstrate exactly why as we get onto the Rift here for game 3. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for the final game of this series. Who will it be? The EWC title holders or the MSI champions to win this one? As Zeka's gonna face check! Oh God! He gets a big old taunt, and he does flash away, but Career is flashing after him. The only one to do so, Glitterland slows him down. Another couple of autos, picks, help him out. As Lucid gonna need to drop a flag. They are hard committing for this. The flash forward, the heal. Zeka's still alive as finally he goes down, and Smash gets first blood.
That's the problem with the escape attempt here from Zeka, is it turned into a 3v3 situation where, you know, he's just not going to be able to escape, or really, like, he wasn't going to be able to escape no matter what, but he gave the opportunity for someone other than a Lulu to get the kill. If he had just let the kill go over to Career there, I'm not sure if Career would have been able to drop the kill and just sit there. Either way, you know, a lot of summoners expended here for the side of D+. Career down his flash. Smash also committed his barrier in the play, which will hurt the 2v2, as you can see here.
Yeah. Smash looking a bit worse for wear, as we can see. That Glitterland's helping out, but HLE still in a phenomenal position. It looks like Smash is going to have to go back, and very happy that he gets... Oh, the flash forward from Shiu, but Zeus, he's got Meganar coming up, and now Shiu without that flash. Oh, man, still going to be able to create enough distance, but he's going to have to go home and expend that teleport.
Oh, that was a crazy moment there. I thought we were maybe about to witness the beginning of a Shiu collapse, but he does recover well. Now Smash gets the kill, buys a call.
Oh dear. Korea very dead.
Yeah.
So HLE going to deny so much experience from the bottom lane.
And I don't think there's really anything that Lucid can do to punish this by crossing the river or anything like that. I was just going to say that, yes, Smash gets the kill, but he had to use so much to do it. In retrospect, is it really helping him out that much? Because that money doesn't instantly convert into a 2v2 win. He has to get pushed out of the lane, or he is pushed out of the lane in the follow-up. And then Kanavi gets over here and gets the freebie set up for Guma. So now Guma has the kill and the advantage in CS. So it is a give and take, a little bit of push and pull here.
Yep.
No summoners committed by Guma or Kanavi on that play either. So
the biggest winner is Showmaker. You can see it's 24-9 in CS in that mid lane. Not the greatest of moments because Zeka did get chased down and die. And I think that chase down is actually even more horrible.
exactly, he spent so much time.
Yeah, exactly right. It's now Smash trying to fight against Gumayushi, but I don't think he really wants to. He's already going to have to go back home once again. Fire kick is going to connect here. Slurkle goes wide. Career taken out, and Gumayushi on 2-0.
And suddenly, Smash getting first blood might have been the first domino for HLE to get a huge bottom lane lead, because he's pushed out. They get the dive onto Career, and for some reason, Smash, I guess, didn't press tab. Thought he had the edge there in this one. Campfire is rolling, and there's 2 longswords in Guma's inventory versus a Cull, and that sickle is not going to reap anything here for Smash in that 2v2.
Yeah, another fire kick is going to push Smash away from the minion wave, and this is slowly but surely going from bad to worse. We're
going to need help here, and Lucid is coming down.
Yeah, he's skirting the vision as well quite nicely. That control ward doing nothing right now, as they did have information that it was there. Delight going to throw that fire kick over. They do get wind of this Jarvan's position. Let's see whether they can outplay this. Flash and barrier both up and available, like you were saying. Relentless Pursuit now going to be used. The Smash is almost dead. He gets the shield from the barrier. And yeah, Lucid's just going to have to escort him out of there.
Kanavi still has flash as well. I think he should be able to escape, but again, he's out of the lane. And Guma played that so well. He's like, I have barrier advantage for a few more seconds, and there might actually even be able to turn this into further advantages now, as yes, Smash is going to be able to back, but there's 2 members here who don't have a whole lot of help.
And this Yunara is not getting any minions anymore. That Cull is taking a while to stack up. Good hop there from Zeus to get out of the way of Shiu, who's taking hyper damage here in this top lane. And, you know, Keen's school of Jax versus Nah is maybe a class that Shiu skipped, perhaps, because this lane is not going the way that they really want it to. It is early days, so it shouldn't be the end of the world. But let's have a look at this one from Gumayushi's perspective.
Yeah, Smash just taking so much damage here because he has 2 longswords. And he's got a Lulu here that's just not going to offer that much damage or utility when you're that far behind. And Lucian's passive is just procking and popping. I actually prefer I wish we saw the first-person view of what happened when Lucid came down and Guma was able to react and realize he had actual kill pressure there as well.
Well, you can see Smash standing his ground. I don't know whether he really wants to. as he's taking so much damage. Light shows up. Slurkle is going to be there to do a bit of damage to Gumayusi, but Kanavi, he's back in this bottom lane, and there is no vision here for D+. Finally, Control Wall goes down, gets the bad news that he's once again going to have to go home.
Yeah, man, Lucid's farming the minions, but Kanavi is farming this bottom lane. Even though he's behind a camp right now, he is doing so much to get Guma accelerated in this one. We talked about weak side Guma. This is the antithesis of that, where Kanavi lives in the bottom lane and Guma is set up to succeed. 700 gold ahead, playing this bottom lane brilliantly, following up incredibly well, and now Smash, you know, he picked up that coal, but he's not even farming that because he can't get any of these minions.
Yeah, he's only managed to get 30 on that one. Went back and bought the cull with 6 CS, which is just a pretty sad one. Lucid comes on over, just bonks Zeka on the head momentarily, and does force him to miss out on that cannon. So still, I mean, it is a big lead for Showmaker. He's 600 gold ahead, but I mean, everywhere else is HLE favored, and Gumayusi has an even larger lead than what this Syndra has been able to put together. Now, outplaying the Syndra as the Lucian will be hard if she does get accelerated.
Yeah, that's true. Because she will just simply be able to, with any sort of setup, including her own, just press R and do burst damage. But it takes a while for us to get to that point. Because, yes, she's right now 700 gold ahead of a Galio who doesn't have money. Whereas Guma is actually on 2 kills, has 2 items, or 2 components rather, is looking for that first item, Essence Reaver, here pretty soon. And he is going to actually be online right now. There is no, like, later necessarily. He's just ready to continue to further this advantage, give his team dragons, and fight every fight that D+ present to him. So I agree with what you're saying. I think there are tools here to shut this one big win con down, but consider also the Jax is behind. Yeah, not having a good time. And it's crazy how volatile that level 1 went, right? This is the kind of thing it's hard to scrim for. This is the kind of situation it's hard to identify what the correct play is. And I think the rest of the team were able to figure it out for D+, but in the follow-up, Smash didn't play the 2v2 as correctly as I think he should have. He played it way too aggressively and basically tested Guma. And Guma passed the test and got so far ahead in just straight up 2v2. And then Kanavi had such an easy lane to play through. So level 1 looked like it was a win for Smash, but what happened next was the bigger problem. And now I just don't know. It would be such a tragic way for this series to end as if Guma becomes too big to fail and D+ don't get to play this 3rd game. But that does seem like the trajectory we're on right now, is that Essence Reaver is done for Guma.
Whoa, that's a nice double gnaw there from Zeus. Gets the barrier out of Smash. Still gonna have to walk away because there's not a lot left in the tank. There's a decent little taunt to move on in, but it looks like HLE are focused on the grubs. They'll take all 3 of them without anyone really here to try and contest. So Lucid just going to be clearing out what camps he can find right now. And the gold advantage for Guma is only extending. Boomerang's flying around. At least now Smash and Korea will have some time away from the very dangerous Lucian, and it's Shiu that has to now deal with it.
Yeah, Guma just has to play safely here as they're just trying to funnel money into Smash and Korea on the other side of the map while also putting the pressure onto this Gnar. I mean, Guma, with Essence Reaver, I guess he doesn't really need to play safely in this matchup. He's got Relentless Pursuit to avoid any sort of engagement from Shiu. Shiu has flashback, so that's somewhat scary, but now Delight's here, and he is just going to be living in the lane swap meta.
Yep.
And we all know how that goes.
Just not a whole lot of fun, I would say, for the Jax.
Meanwhile, the Gnar is doing the same, but already had a lead, so it's kind of just chilling because Gnar is also a ranged champion. It's very difficult to punish here by a Yunara Lulu lane, even with level 6 now here for Korea. If he had level 6 a moment before, might have been able to make a play there, but now just kind of has a 6 next to his name that he won't be pressing the ultimate button for anytime soon.
All right. Jax was a decent champion in the lane swap meta, but Lucid gonna be still coming on over to try and defend. Counter-Strike can just make things awkward and annoying, and so see whether he can actually use that effectively. As you can see there, uses it to go in and take down the majority of those range minions.
Look at these early spikes. You got the Essence Reaver, you got Profane Hydra, you got Zeus,
who's flashing as Smash gets the Arc of Ruin, but not going to be able to do enough. Still, the hop into the flash going to be enough to get Zeus out of there, but now will not have flash.
All right, now they have Galio ult here to try to chase Shiu down.
He has to flash to get out of the way of that culling. Kanavi was already on his way over.
Looks like it's going to be an early first brick here for HLE as they just push him out.
And that's even more money.
He's lost his flash. That's a huge tool for him to try to do anything in this lane swap. He needs that. Okay, we'll get the first brick on this next wave. But he needs that flash if Lucid's going to come over and bail him out, right? But now he doesn't have it. Lucid wasn't there in time. And it's just a big disaster here for D+. And HLE are making all the right choices. Kanavi knows where his pressure point is, and he and Guma are running away with this game.
They really are. And so now it feels like Showmaker versus Gumayusi. That is kind of this game. And I don't know whether this Syndra is going to be enough to be able to take him down, because Guma can really take over team fights on this champion. We'll have so much more in the tank after that initial round of spells. As now without flash, Zeus might be susceptible. As the counter-strike comes down, holds the leap strike nicely to Shiu, so he stays in range. Still, Zeus going to push them away. He didn't have ulti.
Yeah.
They still just back off.
I mean, Career could have looked for the wild growth there. They just didn't have information in the river, so they were like, I don't like the way this looks. I know Kanavi's very likely nearby. He was, but I think there was a small window where they could have tried the wild growth. They just didn't have the information, so Zeus walks away scot-free, and now it's HLE the aggressors.
Yeah, Gumayushi's also walking up. Supreme Display of Talent is completely avoided, but there's the heroic entrance. Wild growth onto Lucid to make him a bit tankier. Big old taunt comes down as even Zeka getting involved. Zeus gets put into the Cataclysm, tanks up the turret. Lucid almost manages to make it work. They go 1-for-1 on the junglers, and it's way closer than I expected in that moment.
Unfortunately, they don't have enough damage there to actually get the big punishes when the CC came down. Ends up being the 1-for-1 there. Looks like it was potentially going to be much worse there for D+. The Kanavi ultimate really didn't get a ton of value the way they wanted it to with the insta flash. But in the bottom side of the map, at least Smash for D+ is able to get some gold. So watching this here, see the flash comes through instantly. They try to turn this onto Kanavi with the wild growth stun combo, but there's no damage, and he's not under turret anymore. So they turn on to Zeus, he's got Mega. In the mid lane, looks like Showmaker trying to make a play. Unsuccessful. This ends up being a 1-for-1 here. Zeus walks away again scot-free.
Well, they try and get that information as to where Gumayusi is. Showmaker still just hunting for some Scat of the Weeks, and he will be able to find it.
Getting a dragon here is pretty big for D+, considering the game state.
Yeah, it might help even things out a little bit. It is a 2,000 gold advantage for HLE, but feels like that could have been worse. Still giving up an Ocean Drake, not exactly end of the world, as Smash will be able to crash another wave towards this bottom side. Has cashed in the Cull as well. It's helped try and claw back that gold advantage. It's a Hextech soul this game as well, which is kind of ridiculous.
Again, it feels like it's Hextech all the time these days. Smash getting a lot of money here, and Zeka is also being denied gold, so that's still good for D+. And the fact that the Jax got the kill topside means that all it takes is just one moment where the map gets opened up, and Shiu is a strong side laning champion in this game, even though he's holding none of the grubs. So like, there are ways back into this game for D+. I wouldn't predict it yet that they could actually make that comeback happen, but Zeka's not getting money. There isn't a punish here, and Kanavi's not getting the cross map either. It's a race.
Grumpy Teemo, as it is going to be Zeus that locks down that first turret. It's immediately answered here on this bottom side. I think HLE are the team under pressure, though, to make something happen, because all of this spare time that Smash has is working out for him as, the buffer on the flag and drag. It looked almost by accident there for Lucid, as Scat of the Week is going to connect onto Kanavi.
Lucid's face there makes it feel like it definitely might have been. You see it on the player cam if you roll it back. But either way, he gets out there as fast as he can and is able to buffer that stun. The turret trade isn't first brick for HLE because they already got that one on the bottom side, but they get a second one. But the fact that D+ are trading turrets, again, at this game state, with the Lucian, Guma being this far ahead, is pretty crazy. As Guma's, I don't want to say he's going to struggle to get a bigger lead here, but it's not going to be as easy now as it was in the bottom lane. And they turned this lane swap, even though it was a big sacrifice for Shiu, into kind of a big success.
Well, Scatter is going to connect onto the Melio. Force of will, the ulti, and Showmaker just pops to light like a balloon. Kanavi trying to take down this Rift Herald. He will be successful. And let's see whether he can get it out. The answer is no. Down goes the Kiana. Now Ash is flashing in. I'm not sure about it, but the rest of his teammates are there to back him up. And down goes Zeus. The Inara is now officially online.
The eye is on the ground.
Oh
Atlas.
no!
You got the gold from the Herald, but you lost your lead. Smash only a kill behind now. As we watch this again, first scatter, boom, Delight's chunked. Ult comes through, he's burst. And they still hold the Herald here, even though they're outnumbered. Look at where Zeus is right now, or sorry, where Zeka is right now. He's so far away. It's really easy to follow here over the wall for Smash. And Zeus just not that tanky. They have CC to back this up. They've got no jungler. Guma survives.
Flashed at the end there too.
Yeah, he survives, but he has to flash. There's no peel for him to do the damage necessary. It's too split up. They spent everything to try to get that Herald. They do not get the eye. And in the blink of the Herald's eye, we're at an even game state here. D+ back on the board.
And now Gumayushi has to play into this Jax, which now has almost a gold advantage. It's like 88, so it's not real, right? It's very, very slight.
But suddenly side lane threat as well.
Exactly.
You just get one team fight like that, and bam! Now Jax starting to take turrets off the map is going to require resources to deal with this. Kiana is not that tanky. Two items here, 700 gold. He's, got the first one very cost efficiently, right? But is going to go splat if the team fights don't go well. And this suddenly a Smash that's very, very threatening. Not in this 2v2 here, but
exactly. Guma is still definitely to be feared on the Rift right now. As Fire Kick connects onto Korea. Smash looking a little worse for wear, but they still want to start something. Kanavi in such a cute position will just move his way in. Looks for Korea himself, who does have the wild growth, so that's why he's playing with a little bit more courage. As Xiu gets on top of Zeus, but Zeus kind of looks okay with it. Throws his crown over towards him. There are a lot of T1 skins in the game right now, by the way. This particular game. Zeka rocking Faker's one. I believe Smash has Gumayushi's one, which is very funny. Zeus has his own one. So yeah, there's just a lot of representation.
all right, Lucid here.
Oh, Lucid's got Cyanide's one. Not a T1 player.
Not going to have his Gromp either. He's obviously going to take that away from him. 40 seconds till this first Hextech Dragon. I mean, look, I'm so relieved that we actually get a game here in this third one, because for so much of that early game, it just looked like, even though Showmaker was pulling ahead, I didn't think they were going to have the agency, but Hanwha make a little bit of a mistake. Showmaker makes a proactive play, gets the first catch there. They've got the CC on the Herald fight. Hanwha Life, something about that Baron pit today. It's given D+ big opportunities. They get the big punish, and now the game is really anyone's to take, right? It's a small lead for Xiu, right? Zeka's not in this game in terms of gold relevance, but is still so much utility for this comp that's still very online right now, as Lucid's going to find out.
Yeah, there is the scat of the week. Lucid still has to get out of there, though, because the heroic entrance is so scary. Smash also gets a big old shield, but the culling is going to come down. And just typewriter DK. Cataclysm comes in. Guma able to escape at the Arc of Ruin. So much damage onto Kanavi. Xiu and Zeus are just fighting off to the side in their own sort of little battle here. And everyone else, I mean, there's a lot of damage that's been taken, but Honey Fruit advantage is here for HLE.
They're on the Dragon. They have full prio control. They do not
teleport in.
have a Gnar, and there's that TP from Showmaker. If he shows up, those health bars are pretty low. Kanavi is on a timer here.
Yeah, look at these health bars from HLE. They're going down so low, but Zeka makes his way in. Kanavi just explodes. Showmaker takes him out. The Drake is over there, and now Lucid trying to escape. Gumayushi is protected, and he gets the double kill. Now Showmaker is going to get taunted, and Guma dashes forward. We'll get some revenge. Scat of the week is fantastic, but the Justice Punch will come down. And Showmaker's on the floor. HLE, great team fight, and they get themselves the Drake.
And it's a big pendulum swing back into their favor after what was, I think, a great showcasing of the importance of priority on objectives. Even though Showmaker gets the wraparound, even though the poke was there and the health bars were low for Hanwha Life Esports, Showmaker can only find the kill on Kanavi, and it's a second too late to stop the Dragon. But look at the positional advantage that Hanwha find themselves in the larger fight here. Career is forced to flash away. Zeka's exactly where he needs to be to deny any follow-up damage. Xiu gets pushed out by Guma's damage. And even though Showmaker's here, there's a lot of low health bars, he can't get access to the ones he needs, and he used his ultimate on Kanavi. Sure, he got that kill, but the objective still went over. He can't get out. It's 3 on the floor, and Hanwha Life Esports take the Dragon lead.
Man, All right, it's only 2 dragons, though. This is the crazy part, right? With 1 dragon apiece at the beginning of the game does mean that DK, there's still a couple of Drakes to worry about before that soul is going to be coming on through. I don't know whether that is enough of a silver lining, though, to make them feel better. It's a 4-0-1 Gumayusi Lucian in this game. And there's now also a big lead for Kanavi, which is kind of crazy. 1-3-1, it's still 1,000 gold ahead with just how much Lucid's been bullied this game.
Yeah, it's... Okay, hold up. Zeus.
He just steals it away! Oh, highway robbery. Lucid didn't have a smite. And now the outer turret in the mid lane is going to go down. This snowball definitely a rolling. Smash, it always seems like he's on half health this game.
Well, it's because Guma keeps walking up to him, proccing his passive, and just putting hurt on him. And it's not a great meta for Yunara right now. Ooh.
Cute little scatter comes in. Zeus wants to steal more of Lucid's stuff.
Lucid didn't have flash. If he has flash there, I think they probably try to make something of it, but can't really close the gap. Doesn't want to risk it with Kanavi right there. And Guma can really just walk up with impunity because he has Emilio with ult standing right next to him, as well as Kanavi on the cross.
Yeah.
Very difficult to punish, and Lucid can't get access to the punish there on the Zeus, can't get access to this Lucian. And it's like Hanwha have Baron.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. Cataclysm comes in, though. Kanavi, supreme display of talent comes down. He flashes. He takes out Showmaker. But Showmaker does get the orb on the ground. Lucid, oh, bit of a misplay there. Does claim the wild growth and stays alive just barely. Felt like a little bit of an unforced error that didn't go punished that time.
A trade of kills like this, I feel like is pretty good for D+, all things considered, especially because the Jax is in the side lane here, is probably going to get a plate at best on this turret, but has been given a lot of extra time to pick up some additional money and experience here. He's a whole level behind, so he needs it really badly. It also means that the real backbone of this comp for Hanwha Life Esports can't continue to put the pressure on here. I think they could have been content with just pushing this turret and controlling the mid lane, but they wanted more. And yes, they got Showmaker, but it's a trade here, and they're unfortunately unable to get more as this wild growth here for Career.
Oh, it was the kickback from Delight. Never mind. I'm sorry, Lucid. I will put respect back on your name because he was just kicked out of range.
Yeah.
Oh, it was really cute.
And without Career being in that exact right moment, right spot there, trying his best to press the wild growth. I remember when just a few months ago, Career was trying to wild growth people who were dead 1,000%, wasting his ultimate, coming in too late. He's made a large improvement since then as a player all around, even though Lu's not as relevant as it used to be. And this fight was a desperate save that was, again, more about other aspects of it, but he had the wild growth. If that wasn't there, would have died either way. But Hanwha Life Esports are in such a commanding position in this game still, despite the extra time that Shiyu had there, despite the fact that that was a 1-for-1 as Showmaker went down. They just have full control over this next dragon as well. And that's where D+ struggled last time. This time they don't have the Showmaker flank.
And also, they don't have an Infinity Edge on Smash. Gumayusi just finished that. This is a perfect item spike for HLE to play around.
They got a 100-0 Guma somehow, and they just don't have access.
Well, I think Lucid's going to be the first 100-0 as Slurkle does connect onto Gumayusi. He takes a fair bit of damage, but that is no jungler. And therefore, no problem for HLE as Zeki looking to try and follow up. The rest of HLE, oh man, they are moving towards the Baron, and they might just be able to take this.
Okay, HLE on the Baron. No answer, no jungler. They're going to take the dragon in return, which will be a 2-2 dragon status here. And also, Shiyu is going to get this whole turret, it looks like.
Yeah, so Zeus is going to try and chase him down. Grandmaster's Might comes in. Drake now secured for D+.
Ooh, they almost baited Zeus in. Well, I guess I can't say that for sure, but they were trying to bait Zeus in. Zeus does not go any further there, trying to get the kill onto the Jax. Would have probably lost his life for it, which would have been a big win for D+. D+ keep getting these unseemingly possible wins despite everything, but it's still just not enough, as maybe they'll get this unforeseen win onto Zeka as well with this TP flank from Shiyu. It's going to take a while.
Justice Punch is going to be interrupted, but Zeka just gets out of there. And he's got Imperial Mandate now. He basically doesn't have cooldowns. It's just kind of ridiculous. So HLE, let's see how much of this Baron they can actually utilize, right? Because it is, you know, it's already a pretty good Rebel Baron power play, but I think Soul Point is so valuable, especially when it's Hextech Soul. And they did forego that in order to get the purple worm.
Yeah, and that's temporary compared to Soul Point being something you're going to have for, well, until you get Soul.
Yeah.
As Zeus has a Gnar here, but trying to dive this could be risky, especially to Showmaker having Peel here, as well as Lucid's Cataclysm. Just be happy with the inner, I think is what HLE are thinking.
Yep.
And they will just take this one down and further their lead. We're only 25 minutes into this game, so they don't need to break the base open right now. I think they are very aware that they are massively ahead. There's still no IE for Smash. It should be getting it pretty soon here, but Guma's got half of his next item. TP committed from Zeka. They are going to try to siege this base open now. If D+ make a mistake, it could be even more they get.
Yeah, Scatter does come in. Zeus takes a fair bit of damage there, but nothing to worry about. They are just now chasing Shio away. He dives in, supreme display of talent, but he goes golden with that arm guard that he just purchased. Still breaking that is so dangerous. Does have flash, might need to use it defensively, holds onto it, which is crazy.
Guma doesn't flinch. He doesn't flash in this situation. He waits to see if Shiu's going to commit further. He had so many teammates nearby. I think it was the right call from Shiu to back out there and not try to commit. The rest of their teammates peel. Buy some time on what's left of this Baron. It looks like no inhibitors nor their turrets will go down on this 25-minute Baron, and in 40 seconds, it will expire. D+ are hanging on by a thread. The IE is done for Smash now so late in this game, but every single fight for the rest of this game can be won by D+, if for any reason Guma is caught and burst down, and they have a lot of tools. Guma's positioning has been phenomenal this game. He has 0 deaths to his name, and so far, with the control they have right now, it's hard to imagine that they will catch him, but if they do, that's a big if, there might be a window back in, and D+ are always going to be fishing for that angle.
Yep. And Zeka can also provide so much safety for this Lucian as well. His Galio is going to be a big problem moving later on into the game, because diving onto Gumayushi can often be a one-way trip if the Gargoyle just flies down on top, and then you have Kanavi and Zeus with decent damage there as well. As Kanavi going to get his back stopped here. Does back away.
Through the edge of night, took a little bit of extra doing to get it done, but they do stop his back. Not going to be too significant. The Dragon is a whole minute and a half away.
Yeah, and it's only for a third Drake on either side.
Serpent's
Not
Fang.
ridiculous. That's 4 items done for Kanavi.
He has, as long as he's hitting these squishy targets, which are basically everyone here for D+, especially the most important ones, the ones that are doing the damage, they don't last very long, and it's the most cost-efficient way to get your Kiana to 4 items with the lead he has. Makes a ton of sense. That's how he's going to optimize here. He's 3 levels up on Lucid. But in a longer fight, if there's no one to kill Smash, Guma dies, could still do it. I'm just writing the, I'm doing the caster thing where I lay out what could go wrong. It's not over till it's over. It looks very over, but the base is still up. And like you said, this is not Hextech Soul because they forwent it for that Baron instead moments ago. Showmaker picks up Crypt Bloom. Small piece-by-piece tools making this D+ roster formidable the longer we go into this game.
But he doesn't even have a lead anymore. Zeka has just been so much freer in these side lanes. Taunt is going to be fantastic here from Zeka, as Gumayushi will execute Lucid. Absolutely nothing he can do. Shiu throws down the counter-strike. Slurkle is decent to try and stop Gumayushi from just murdering everyone, but that is only going to delay the inevitable. And with Lucid dead, that is a guaranteed dragon here in 20 seconds.
Now, this pick is just a symptom of the larger problem here. D+ have no real estate they can operate around on this map, and now without a jungler, trying to contest for Dragon Prio is not even a possibility. As you mentioned, Zeka's ahead now because he's been sitting inside so long, because he could follow from so far away, and then even in this situation, he turns an engage into a double taunt, into a knock-up, and into the burst damage here from Guma, who's so ready to follow up. Shiu's been able to soak these Cullings with his counter-strikes to escape, but it doesn't get them anything back. Guma's going to solo the Baron because he's so large in this game that he doesn't need anyone's help. Kanavi comes over to help secure.
Helps anyway. But yes, was absolutely unnecessary. He's got 4 items and Lucid has 2 and then a funny shirt and a small sword. Yeah. Kanavi looks like he's at like the end of the RPG, like talking to his friend who's still like trying to play the tutorial, you know? That's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah, it looks like Kanavi's at the save point before the final boss, and Lucid is like just got to disc 2.
Yeah, he's like, wait, this game has a new game plus, and Kanavi's like, yes, indeed, it does, sir. Yeah, this is a very scary Kiana, is what I'm trying to say. 4.4k, it's just a massive lead. Still, I mean, doesn't have a lot of health to his name. There's like, you know, there's things you can say.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there are ways this could go wrong, which is why HLE still need to play this carefully. They play this crisply, but now the Baron's up.
Yeah, ultimate invested here from Shiu as well. It's Lucid looking for Gumayushi. It's a lot of burst damage. The culling comes down. Shiu has found Zeka. Taunt comes in, Justice punches down, but there's a leap strike back up again. Solo kill for the Jax, and he's starting to become, well, he's begun becoming a big problem.
Guma does not have flash now. So again, that's the whole crux of what happens in this game. Guma, to win this game, needs to keep that 0 a 0. Now he has no flash, and if he dies on a potential Baron take here for HLE, which is much less likely, much less appealing without it, or on this attempt to get Hextech Soul, again, everything could fall apart in just an instant. Like you said, Kanavi has 4,000 of this gold lead, and if he just goes splat as well because he's not tanky, Zedge Knight will buy him a little bit of space, but if he gets caught by a stray scatter without it, follow-up from Lucid is there, he just dies as well, so they really need to be extremely cautious. Guma's reaction time there and how he played it was brilliant, but because of it, and because of the position he was in before that, he is now flashless, which could be, again, a potential way.
A potentially dangerous. Wait, Shiu, what are we doing, buddy? He's gonna have to leap strike his way out. He does manage to do that. The tiniest little supreme display of talent comes in. Shiu goes golden momentarily, but he's just dead. Zeka might be traded, but I don't know whether it's worth. Smash at least picks up that kill. 4 versus 4, no Jax, no Galio. And Zeus with no Narbar as well. And Smash will soon not have an ultimate. They're just waiting for that one to be gone. As Gumayushi gets Cataclysm and he's knocked up, but it's not going to work. Kanavi taken out, Smash he goes down and Smash is taking matters into his own hands. They've killed the carry. Zeus, the last man standing with just a light. That is not going to work. I think DK have done it.
I think the Flagon Drag interrupted Guma's dash. It's like he was dashing forward midair. He just barely got caught on the edge of it, and Smash comes in, follows up with the burst. Guma's dead, and this Baron is up for grabs here. They are rushing through the Hex Gates to come over, but I think they are just going to have to watch as this one fades away. D+ are still 4,000 gold behind, but this could change everything. No jungle here for the contest. Zeus level 19.
They're going to try and turn. They're looking for it. As there is no smite in this pit, Zeus does manage to hit the Mega, but there is the kill from Showmaker. He moves himself out. Look at these health bars, they're so low. And there's a heroic entrance. Down goes Korea. Shears once again in a really awkward spot. And Lucid looking to make his way into the Baron pit. He is going to get in. That will be Baron secured. Can he get out? That's the question. I don't know whether he can, but I don't know whether it matters. He can. Never you mind. D+ now find themselves almost in an advantage.
Guma's respawn. I don't know if they could push this wave in to try to at least make sure this mid wave is so far away. Now, keep in mind, there is still a mid-outer turret to go through here for D+. We are so far away. Just watch Guma in this fight. Initially, it looks like, okay, Shiu's overextended here. This is a disaster. But Kanavi and Zeka go far forward here, and now Smash has an angle to play through. Yes, Shiu sacrificed himself on the other side, but Zeka just turns to paper. And now, Guma's trying to rejoin Kanavi because he needs damage for Peel because he's not tanky. And watch Guma. It is insane, this angle here for Lucid. Guma walks forward. It's crazy. He's just on the edge.
Scatter as
and
well.
And the ultimate stops the scatter, but it's just in that split second that gives Smash just enough reprieve to follow up and burst him down. And then here in this moment, Zeus is definitely alone, not going to be able to get this done, but they have Hexgate. This is a really calculated play from HLE to come over here to try to deny. So the Baron doing so much work, he gets Mega, and Delight stays, which looks crazy because he's Emilio 1v3, but it's because he wants to give the taxi to the Galio. Gets the kill onto the Lulu, but they cannot finish off Smash, and this buys enough time for Lucid to come in here and secure the smite. Crazy game we were watching. It looked like it was going to be a one-sided affair, but like we said so many times, all it takes is that one hit.
Oh my God, Shiu, stop it! He is just playing right on the edge here in this incredibly pivotal deciding game between DK and HLE. He's now diving in towards Zeka. The inhibitor turret in the bottom lane almost died, by the way, as Gumayushi, he's got so much burst damage every time Smash moves forward like that.
Flash
is
back.
Scary. Culling not really doing too much here, as the taunt is set up by Zeka, but the scatter hits onto 2 Kanavi, taking a lot of damage. Supreme display of talent comes down, Lucid finds the Cataclysm, but he dies. There is Zeka going down so incredibly low, and it's Smash that gets into the front line and looks to obliterate Gumayusi too far away from the battlefield, and it's Smash that dashes in, picks up the triple, and you best believe that third one felt the best.
D+ cut HLE in half. Guma couldn't rejoin the fight. The haphazard plays from Shiu finally pay off. Look at Lucid's face.
Yeah, Showmaker popping off as well, man.
They are riding the momentum from Paris, and this squad says maybe the second international title was greater than the first, and they'll take HLE out in the first matchup of the Legend Group between these two. Unbelievable turnaround from D+ Kia.
This game was the most ridiculous demonstration of mental fortitude. And look at CV Max, the most proud dad vibes I have seen out of that guy in a very long time. I don't know. They went to Paris and they came back a completely changed team. I know, this is game 1, series 1, right? For both of these teams in the Legend Group. But still, this is back-to-back upsets, back-to-back Legend Group days. This group might be just the closest thing we've seen in such a long time.
It's epic. There is just so much to take in. And on top of it all, everything that D+ is going through right now, it just seems like they are getting stronger. Smash!
Oh, man.
It's got to be him on POM. It's got to be him. His Ezreal game into so far behind, playing on the edge, finding those kills. But you can make an argument for so many Showmaker scatters. His lead over the Galio that he was able to compound. The catch on the Guma by Lucid on the last pixel.
And also, Lucid being so far behind in that game, right?
But making a larger impact when it mattered more.
And this is the thing. That is not the Lucid that we got used to. We got used to a Lucid that was desperately trying to find angles back in and failing to do so, going off alone when things weren't working out. This was measured play, understanding what the team needed from him in those pivotal moments, and then making it work. Like, this Cinderella story just won't end.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been going for very long. I feel like we haven't even reached the full arc of it, you know? It's still so early here in the second half of LCK, but the story of anyone can beat anyone in the Legend Group is I hope it continues. And I was told this like about 10 minutes ago, and I wasn't sure if it was out or not, but I was just told and confirmed. We also have another bit of news for Legend Group. Aiming and Jiu have been traded. Aiming is now a Kiwoom DRX player. Jiu is now on KT roster.
Okay.
But I think they should probably keep Fenrir, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking like
crazy Atlas.
I don't know whether the trade was necessary. It's more like, well, you know, you can have him, I guess. It's a very strange situation there. That's a fun little bit of extra, like, just breaking news. We needed to have it come up like with a banner at the bottom of the screen. This just in. Aiming is now on KRX. I was actually thinking about that this morning. I was like, man, wouldn't it be funny if we just saw this happen again? Well, based on the drama.
Someone told me after the announcement yesterday, I guess Diablo was the first, and I was like, what did he mean by that? There was a lot of similarities in terms of the announcer for KT and what happened with Diablo, but we are only speculating. But the trade I didn't see coming. I didn't see that one coming. But anyways, this game. Crazy. All right, these are the final moments in comms.
This double scatter was absurd.
And like, watch Guma in the fight. He can't get access to the damage he needs to. He has to flash away. And like, it's Gnar. Zeus is where he needs to be. But Guma can't get in. He has to just dash away and hope to survive. And he does not. The Smash gets his dash back and takes the triple to end this fight and end this game.
What an unbelievable series from D+ Kia. The second game, maybe not the one that you really want to be focusing on, but game number 1 was a slaughter, but look at these faces, man.
Showmaker initially saying like, calm down, keep it calm. Shio as well, like we gotta end the game.
Yeah.
Lucid's dead. He doesn't give.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, he's gonna hype it up. His hand's been on the keyboard for a while.
I have to say, the camaraderie on this D+ Kia roster has only ballooned to out of control levels over like the last 6 months. It's just been absolutely adorable to watch. Gumayushi still like absolutely heroic performance. We cannot take anything away from him. But D+ managed to bide their time, got past, you know, the hump. You can see there in the gold graph, the hump of what can be like Lucian's dominating power spike at around those 3 items. And then Smash was just stronger towards the end and had that bigger frontline in Lucid and Shio there.
Unbelievable. I think Smash will get Palm, but I really don't know. It is.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I don't know who I would argue for outside of Smash because I stopped kind of thinking about it. You're right, Wadid. It is absolute cinema, my friend.
Oh, well. If the first series was uninteresting and a stomp and one-sided, boy, at least we finish hard on this one.
I'm really glad that the first series gave us a little bit of space. Let's just say that because that was an absolutely absurd closing to the day.
Legend Group, stay tuned.
So maybe this is just the opposite of last year, where Rise Group had all the bangers. Maybe this year it's just Legend Group with all the bangers.
I hope there's at least a little bit of bangers in the.
I mean, it's still the Rise Group, right? It's probably gonna be. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm
right?
the color commentator, but my voice is dying because of all the yelling that needed to happen in that.
Yeah, no, mine as well. I'm gonna need to go home and like have like one of the what is it, throat coat, you know, with all the like the yummy stuff in it that helps your throat feel better, and steam my voice and all that sort of stuff. It's This was not the first day back that I was expecting. It's normally we just get to slowly develop into the season. No, not this time.
I'm here for it, all right? Let's ramp up fast. We had a long break. We can get right into it.
Yep, and now it's like 2 MVPs in a row for Smash as he was MVP of EWC as well. And as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, oh man, I have to go back to what I was saying.
He can't see that, by the way. That's on our screen only.
This is only on our screen.
He's not like looking down and like, really?
Unanimous wrong predictions from everyone. But like there's a bead of sweat going down the side of my face, Wolf, because you predicted
D+ Predators over
D+ versus Gen G, the only one. But now it is time for us to head over to the interview. Dear, take it away.
Thank you very much for the handoff and the amazing commentary and yelling, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Smash on the side of D+ Kia. Congratulations! You know, you kept your momentum from winning EWC to secure today's win against HLE. How do you feel? You know, just from our first match returning, we actually had to face the MSI champions. So I really wanted to win today. And honestly, it wasn't an easy win, but it just makes it even more worth it. And yeah, HLE recently won MSI, which was an international title just like D+ Kia did. So what did you focus on to prepare? You know, against HLE, whenever we actually start from falling behind, HLE tends to snowball the game very, very fast. So that's just something that we try to be cautious of. And honestly, whenever we were starting off from behind, it was very difficult. Yeah, in game 1, the enemy utilized the high mobility champion Camille to pester D+ Kia in the early game. So how did you guys manage to stay level-headed to win the game? In game 1, you know, just based on our comp, it just felt like the enemy would be a little more desperate to make some early game plays. So as long as we didn't make mistakes or no accidents would happen, we knew that we would actually keep the advantage. So I think we were just wary of the Camille being all around the map. And the other lanes being able to sustain well actually paid off. And in game 3, we got Lucian versus Yunara after all those non-traditional marksman champions showing up. which was a true test for AD carries. So between the non-traditional and the traditional AD carry matchup, what do you prefer? Personally, I actually really preferred AD carries, but because mages are just taking over the game, I think that's why I kind of prefer mages now. I think it's just that we keep seeing mages come out in the bot lane, and just because I have to practice so much mages during practice, I think that's why I just feel like I just have to consistently practice it even till now. And I have been playing a bunch of various picks right now, but it's really not that easy to actually pull that off on stage. And game 3 was incredibly neck and neck, where HLE was ahead at first, then D plus Kia won the team fight, took Baron, and flipped everything. So how was it playing out that game? Yeah, the invade at level 1, that little incident actually put us in a really bad spot for a bot lane. But from EWC, we actually had so much experience, just like such similar experience back then. So I think we're actually really used to try to get our mental resilience back, and we were able to really pull off that turnaround. Yeah, D plus Kia is leveling up their performance by the day, and we can feel the winner's mentality from you guys. So did EWC have a big influence on that? Yeah, just from taking that title, we earned so much confidence. And I think now we're at a point where we know that we have the capability to win titles. And I think just being able to play that many games through that event, I think that actually did help us a lot for today as well. And your next match will be an LCK Team Roadshow against Genji, who you defeated at EWC. So how confident are you? Genji is an incredibly good team. But obviously, we have won against them recently. So I have a good feeling about our upcoming match against them. I feel like we can win as long as we are doing our best. And I think that's just the mindset that we have. And I want to keep that mentality in order to pull off another win. And that is all from Smash, and back to the desk. Thank you.